Copy that, Commissioner Vice Chairperson DeCapo. Uh, Good evening. The time is 7 p.m. and I am going to go ahead and call to order the ANC 2A meeting for the month of July. We'll go ahead and start off with Commissioner introductions in the order of their single member districts.
Hello, I'm Vice Chairperson DeCapo. I represent the southeast end of Foggy Bottom. Sorry if there's background noise. I'm currently walking home. And yeah, good to see you all here. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Trupti Patel, she, her pronouns. I represent Single Member District 2A03, which is the bulk of the historic Foggy Bottom, and I am the chairperson of ANC 2A.
And good evening, everybody. My name is Ed Comer. I represent 2A04, which is the Watergate Kennedy Center south of the Lincoln Memorial, the western part of Foggy Bottom.
Hey everyone, my name is Jim Malik. I am the single member district commissioner for 2A08, which includes Hotel AKA, the Embassy of Spain, Washington Circle Park, as well as the Avenue, West End Place, the President, and Winston House. Happy to be here.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sean Youngstone. I'm the commissioner for 2A09. That includes 2424 Pennsylvania, 2400 Pennsylvania, the Varsity on K, St. Mary's Court, and a number of residences around the GW campus.
Thank you, colleagues, for introducing yourself. Since a quorum has been established, we can go ahead and proceed with the meeting. Next item up on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. I am going to motion for unanimous consent against the agenda. Commissioner Comer, I saw your hand raised. Did you?
No, I agree. I'll second that motion.
Okay. It has been moved by Chairperson Patel, seconded by Secretary Comer, motioning for unanimous consent. Vice Chairperson DeCapo, I can't see your face, so if you could just at least say yay or nay. Oh, okay, everybody's raised their hands. Okay, thank you very much.
Actually, Chairperson, I have a point of debate on the motion to adopt the agenda. I just want to ask if we need to do anything to address the situation with the Velvet settlement agreement. Do we need to add something to the agenda to deal with that? I don't know the answer, but I feel like that was discussed via email and probably needs to be mentioned here.
I was waiting for a response back from everyone else. So if you want to motion to add that on the agenda,
I mean, I would defer to the commission as a whole on this, but I just thought this was the appropriate place to raise that if we wanted to add it.
You're correct. This is the appropriate time and place to add it. So, if you are moving that you want to amend the agenda to add that, you would need to have a second for it.
Well, I'd like to hear from other commissioners if they think that we should do that. I would also like to hear from you, Chairperson. What is your view on where the situation with that stands, and if we need to do another vote? For the public who is watching this, Commissioner Yang, who the commission voted to designate as the lead point of negotiate or the lead negotiator for the aforementioned Velvet settlement agreement, is unfortunately had to leave the country on an emergency matter and will not be able to attend the mediation hearing. So what we're discussing now is if there is a designated person to go to that mediation meeting, and if we need to amend the agenda to appoint someone, reappoint someone, etc. Chairperson, what is your view on this?
So Commissioner Malik, when the protest was sent to APGA, I was automatically de facto secondary. So the thumb of practice is it's actually the chair who's always the lead. It's always been the courtesy and custom of many commissions to allow the commissioner of that SMD to take the lead on it. So given the situation, Commissioner Yang is out of the country. I simply emailed the commission, which does not require a vote, on if I am allowed to enter into a settlement agreement. The The resolution simply states that we are representatives because the power of adopting the settlement agreement, the way ANC 2A has done it as custom, lies in the whole commission approving it. And in mediation, it is most likely that there will be a settlement agreement crafted in that meeting. I just needed to be designated or authorized to enter into it should that happen.
Chairperson, I don't want to step on your toes.
I have a comment,
Go ahead. I recognize
if
you,
I
Commissioner
may.
Comer.
My understanding is that Commissioner Yang asked Commissioner Malik to serve as her representative at that meeting. And my understanding from reading the emails is that the OANC has indicated that for that to happen, we would need to vote and designate Commissioner Malik as her representative. So I actually think it is a topic we should add to the agenda, whether or not we want to vote to implement Commissioner Yang's request.
Okay. So the reason why OANC came back with that answer is Commissioner Yang doesn't have the authority to designate someone else in her place.
I understand that.
Okay, I
And
just wanted
I
to.
understand that we have to vote on that, but that was her wish. And there have been strong feelings about this particular mediation, which I think are relevant to the background. So I would certainly move to add this topic to the agenda.
Second.
Actually, thank you. And I'd move to do it right after we talk about the Board of Zoning Adjustment issues.
Okay, so Commissioner Comer, you're moving it. Commissioner Malik has seconded it. Okay, I'll go ahead and this is simply just to add it to the agenda. So I'm going to go ahead and do this by Robert's Rules, Division of the House. Commissioner DeCapo, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner, I'm sorry, Commissioner Youngstone, I saw your hand raised. I didn't
Oh,
realize.
sorry. I was just using it as a shorthand for voting. I can take it down.
Yes, I assumed that. Okay, Commissioner Patel is a yes. Commissioner Comer?
Yes.
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 Okay, unanimous consent. So we are going to be amending the agenda. We are going to go ahead and this will be right after the community forum. This is matters before the Board of Zoning Adjustment. Is that the correct placement, Commissioner Comer, that you had requested that it be put at?
If you said before, that's fine. I said after.
Oh, after, I'm sorry. I just remembered BZA's.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
let's do it after. Give them a chance to make the representation.
okay, so we'll go ahead and do it
Okay.
after. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so that will be placed after matters before the DC Council, but after matters before the Board of Adjustment. Okay, so now that we have amended the agenda, everybody has approved it. Once again, I'm going to call for unanimous consent on the amended agenda since we've amended it. Commissioner Youngstone? Oh, okay, you're just raising your hand. Okay, Commissioner DeCapo?
Yes.
All right, going on to the next item is the approval of ANC's May 2025 regular meeting minutes. Secretary Comer, have you received any amendments or did you make any edits or additions after the minutes were posted to the public?
I have received no comments on those minutes and made no changes
Okay,
on the draft of the minutes.
okay. Commissioner Comer, are you going to go ahead and move the minutes?
I will move that they be adopted. Yes.
Okay. Chairperson Patel is going to second it. I am going to call for unanimous consent on this. I see the screen is being shared, so I can't see colleagues other than Commissioner Comer. Um, uh, Commissioner DeCapo, I can't see you, so if you are okay with moving the
Yes.
minutes. Okay, didn't see anything else from any of the colleagues. Okay, so meeting minutes have been approved by unanimous consent. So we're going into our second agenda item, which is community forum. So we're going to go ahead and do a report in the present from the mayor's office. If you are here from the mayor's office, please raise your hand. We do.
Excuse me. I also submitted minutes of a May special meeting. Do we have to approve that as well? Believe,
It did not make it into the final
okay,
agenda.
okay.
We
Then
got the
we'll
May
do it later.
special meeting minutes approved for the meeting before.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry about that. Thanks.
No, it's
No. It was a good question, Secretary Comer. So yes, if returning to agenda. So next item up under community forum, section A, report and presentation from the mayor's office. If you are here with the mayor's team, please raise your hand so we can go ahead and promote you. And then we do have an agency director with us. This section is going to be dedicated to the mayor's budget.
Good evening, Chair Patel.
Good evening, sir. How are you today?
I'm doing just fine. And if it's okay, shall I just get started?
Yes. Do you need to have us authorize you to share your screen? Do you need us to do that for you, sir?
Yes. So I'm sending a request.
It has been approved.
Okay. Is my screen showing?
It is, sir. It is showing.
Cool. All right. Well, good evening. And once again, thank you, Chair Patel and members of the ANC2A thank you for having me here this evening. My name is Sam Abbott. I'm the director at the Department of Youth Rehabilitation Services. And I'm here to present the mayor's upcoming fiscal 26 Grow DC budget. We do have a number of slides, and I know that there's not 10 minutes on the agenda, so I'm going to try to move quickly. If you have questions, feel free to interrupt me. And joining me from the mayor's team is Adriana Macedonio and Ty Abila. They're going to be taking notes and also taking all the tough questions so that I don't have to answer them. I'm just kidding. We're going to try to answer those together, but anything that we can't answer, they're going to have notes of and can respond if we cannot answer it tonight. Excuse me. So the mayor's budget reflects the mayor's vision of growing DC into a stronger, more inclusive, and more sustainable city for all residents. And it reflects the values of accountability, opportunity, and community investment. And if you want this presentation that I'm giving you today, you can get that at budget.dc.gov. So we're going to go ahead and move into the slides. Fiscal year 2024 or 2024, the calendar year 2024 was, as the mayor puts it, our comeback year. This is the year that we had a very strong rebound in population growth. The district grew faster than any other state in the union. Violent crime dropped to the lowest level in 30 years, and we had record tourism. Over 26 million visitors came to visit the district. Fiscal 25, however, has been a year of some challenges. And the biggest challenge is probably one that you guys are all familiar with, which was congressionally given to us. There was a continuing resolution announced to fund the federal budget that did not exclude DC's budget as it normally and traditionally has. And what that did was drop our budget back to fiscal 24 levels. By doing that, that action would have amounted to a cut of over $1 billion to the local budget. And so the mayor and her team had to work very diligently to use every lever of power that she had and available options to try to whittle that number down. And through a number of very creative budget actions, the budget gap was narrowed from that over $1 billion budget gap to approximately around $300 million. But we still had a pretty large gap late in the fiscal year that we had to close. And the team closed that gap largely by instituting a hiring freeze, making some non-personnel service reductions, shifting where they could, shifting money or shifting expenses to either the federal government or to future fiscal years. And then achieving all of this without doing any furloughs or layoffs or any facility closures. So it was, I think, a very challenging task that they had, but they rose to the occasion and really did a fantastic job of minimizing the damage to the district's services and services to our residents. In addition to the the cut that was imposed by Congress, we are also feeling the effects of reduced projected future revenues. And this is largely being driven by reductions in federal spending here and around the country, but we are obviously disproportionately impacted by that. Job losses to federal employees equals lost revenue for the district. And so in addition to all of those cuts, in fashioning the fiscal 26 budget, the mayor's team had to also account for the lower projected revenues. So what that means is that the mayor had to really make priorities and find priorities. And her priority was prioritizing a growth agenda. We can't rely on federal spending to support our local budget as it has in the past. And so prioritizing growth in the district is really the basis for building a strong future. Slide. So in developing the budget, the mayor looked at basically three different questions as she looked at what to prioritize. Does it keep people and families in DC and help attract new residents? Does it create economic activity to fund city programs and services? And does it attract new businesses, create new jobs for DC residents? These are the sort of guidelines that the mayor used to fashion this budget. So the growth agenda starts with cutting red tape, reducing barriers to growth. So there are a number of actions that the mayor proposes that would streamline zoning, repeal burdensome programs, pausing some mandates, and reducing business fees, taxes, and penalties. These are all things that were prioritized to ignite growth here in the district. The growth agenda also leads on sports and entertainment. Obviously, bringing the Commanders back to RFK is the centerpiece of the mayor's agenda. But in addition to that, investments to Capital One Arena, the National Theater, Lincoln Theater, and Howard Theater, and other investments that have been made to prioritize our position as a tech incubator and in the sports and entertainment areas. This budget also supports downtown, and this is the continuation of the plan for the mayor's downtown comeback. Activation areas in Chinatown and in the Gallery Place district, revitalizing commercial corridors and enforcing vendor rules are part of the plan to revitalize these downtown areas and keep them vibrant areas and bring jobs to our district. There is a substantial investment in our school systems. The budget for our DC public schools is $2.8 billion, which is a $123 million increase from fiscal year 25. The mayor believes strongly that we have to be friendly to families, and part of that is having excellent schools and supporting those schools through the budget. There are capital program improvements to the schools, including HVAC, window replacement, athletic fields improvement, and other priorities that are showcased here on this slide. In order to bring residents and keep our residents here, we also have to have a safe DC. And so the mayor has prioritized public safety. You can see from this slide, there are a number of investments that are made to the public safety agencies, notably $30 million for the Metropolitan Police Department to enhance hiring and enhance their technology to help fight crime. $2 million for safe commercial corridors, additional funding and support for surveillance tools and enforcement policies. We also are prioritizing a clean DC. There is $4.6 million to support Clean Corridors Initiative that support 80 DPW staff who are working every day to clean up, whether it's leaves or garbage in our city. $1.8 million to the Department of Buildings for nuisance abatement to help address residential property maintenance and housing code violations. The mayor's budget also makes significant investments in housing and economic development. $100 million in the Housing Production Trust Fund. $23 million for the Home Purchase Assistance Program. New communities in Berry Farm, Bruce Monroe, Park Morton, and Northwest One. And then also $6 million in repairs for the National Theater. There are significant investments to libraries and recreation centers. We know that we have to support our residents, and supporting our residents includes supporting our kids, whether through education, the activities, and the libraries that we have here in the district are award-winning libraries. We have $166 million for modernizing libraries, $188 million upgrading rec centers and pools, and then also $89 million for funding for a year-round youth sportsplex at RFK for an indoor track, gymnastics, and other activities to take place there. There are investments to health, and you can see $97 million to increase support for Medicaid services. And in addition to that, in order to close that budget gap, one of the signature policy achievements here in the budget is to shift Medicaid costs. And what this shift will do is move childless adults and adult caregivers at that 138 to 200% of the federal poverty level to a health plan run by the DC Health Benefits Exchange. The health plan on the exchange is going to be substantially the same as they would have received through Medicaid, but it shifts the costs largely to federal government versus local funds, freeing up money to support programs that we need here in the district. There are significant investments in human services as well. Almost $19 million to support continuum of care for homeless services. $7.6 million for permanent supportive housing for 156 families, and a right sizing of program costs around TANF. This right sizing is going to have a pause in the cost of living adjustment increases for beneficiaries and adjust the temporary reduction in benefits for households who don't meet requirements for 4 consecutive weeks without good cause. There are also investments in transportation and the environment. $76 million are invested in WMATA, into bus lanes and pedestrian tunnels. $13 million I'll highlight to expand capital bike share, and $74 million to build out the pedestrian and bike trail network. This slide is highlighting investments in government operations. We have a lot of services that are clustered together in terms of what we call government operations. These are things like Department of General Services, IT services through Opto, and these agencies use their funding to protect data, for instance, in our systems, and ensure that we have maintenance done at DPCS schools. And basically, these are the agencies that keep all of the city government agencies operating. I also want to just take a moment to highlight some Ward 2 investments as I close this out. We have in the proposed budget $362 million for renovations to Capital One Arena, $190 million to modernize and renovate the New Center City Middle School and Seton Elementary School, $402 million to maintain streets, sidewalks, and alleys citywide, $30 million to build a new senior wellness center in Ward 2. So if you want to, again, get these slides that we've presented, you can go to budget.dc.gov and download all of those slides and get additional details. Again, we have our partners here that can either take down questions, or if we can answer questions, we'll be happy to answer those tonight. So thank you again for the time.
Thank you, Director Abed. I do have one question, but I see my colleagues have raised their hands, so I'll reserve my question for last. I apologize. I can't see who raised their hand first during the share screen. I do see Commissioner Malik and Vice Chairperson DeCapo, but I don't know who went first.
Commissioner Malik was first.
Okay, Commissioner Malik, go ahead. You're recognized.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for the presentation, Sam. We're happy to have you here. On one of these slides, on the growth agenda slide, there are 6 bullet points. And one of the 6 bullet points in the growth agenda is an expansion of gaming. Can you tell us, is an expansion of legalized gambling a core pillar of the mayor's growth agenda?
There is an expansion of gaming. I really couldn't tell you the level of priority that is for the mayor, but we'll take that question and get a response for you on that.
Vice Chairperson DeCapo, I'm recognizing you.
Thank you. Thanks, Sam, for your presentation. Great slides. 2 quick questions, just more for personal interest than anything. What is the purpose of creating the mounted police unit? What sort of events or situations are they going to be most involved in? Sorry, Sam, I can't hear you.
All right. Am I muted? Can you?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Mounted police are one of the functions that MPD has. I really couldn't answer for you why that is a priority. I do know that there are benefits to having mounted police, and police departments all over the country do use those. But we'll take that question back to Chief Smith and try to get a response for you.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I know they're often used for crowd control and stuff, in places like New Orleans for Mardi Gras and stuff like that. So I was just curious. You also mentioned libraries and supporting libraries. It's good to see investment there. Is there, I know, Congress and budgets, and right now it's kind of crazy, but is there a plan in the future to allocate money to the library system to extend hours at some point in the future? Is that a priority? Sorry, Sam, I can't hear you.
Still can't hear me? Am I back?
No, I can now.
Okay, I don't know. It seems like when I start talking, Mike's not picking me up. But I'll have to come back to the library folks and understand if they're looking to extend hours. I don't think that that's the purpose of the funding that's in this budget, the additional funding that they're getting. I know that they have a tremendous range of activities. I just had a son. He's 4 months old, and I got a book from the library system, and I didn't realize that was a benefit that they send out to newborns, and I'll have to come back to you or have our team come back to you on the hours issue.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Director Abed, thank you once again so much. And I'll go ahead and ask my question. Just to let Vice Chairperson DeCapo know, I did go to the DC Public Library, a budget hearing, and I did ask on a whole that libraries are a much needed and important resource citywide. And the last thing we needed to do was reduce the hours of our libraries. If anything, we needed to either continue to maintain them or expand them. This has been a challenge citywide. A lot of ANC commissions have had to go virtual just because like the resources are very limited and being able to meet. ANC2A used to meet in person at the West End Library, and then they changed their hours and everyone has to be out by 8, and we start our meetings at 7. So it's not conducive at this point, just given the budget constraints for us to come back in person. So hence the reason why Vice Chairperson DeCapo asked that question. The question I have for you, Director Abed, is that obviously when Congress decided to say they made a mistake, but they didn't correct the snafu, even though President Trump has said correct the snafu, that we are not allowed to spend the money that we already have. We're forced to spend at fiscal year 24 instead of fiscal year 25, which is this current year. When October 1st starts, are we going to have those funds that are in reserve we're not allowed to spend? Are we going to have that money on October 1st and then like kind of layer it in addition to the budget funding that we're debating right now? I think we can't hear you, Director Abed. I think it went on mute again. I think it mutes you when you're silent for so long. Yes, I can hear you now. Barely hear you, but you can hear you now.
Yeah, I think I just have to say something a few times and then it'll come on. So the money will be there. So those are local dollars these are taxes that are collected by the government, the local government. The money will be there. So the short answer is yes, the money is there, and we should be able to spend it, but our budgets still do need to be approved by Congress. And so the sort of caveat to it is that they could still do something like they did this year. So yes, the money's there, but with that sort of shadow cast over.
Okay, thank you so much, Director. I believe none of my colleagues have questions. I'll go ahead and turn to members of the public before I release you to your night. If you're a member of the public and you have a question for Director Abed, please raise your hand and we'll go ahead and recognize you. I believe we have one person that's being promoted now. All right, last call from members of the public. All right, Director Abed, you got off easy. Nobody had questions for you. I'm surprised. I expected a lot of questions from members of the public. Looks like it was the commissioners that had questions for you. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I'm sorry. A couple people have raised their hand. Spoke too soon.
Thank you. I've had my hand up the whole time. Thank you for recognizing me. I'm Barbara Kalo. I live at the Plaza condominium, a very big issue in the condominiums and cooperatives and rental apartment buildings in our area in Foggy Bottom is the BEPS. You said in one of the slides that it is going to be, what your word was, but it was going to be, the deadlines were going to change. I have spent a lot of time going through the budget. I can't find the details in the budget. Which document has the details? Because my president has asked me to ask you so we can revise our budget accordingly.
Director Abed,
paused is the word you used in the slide. BEPS was paused. Where is the details in the budget, please?
I'll have to come back to the details of the budget that you're talking about. The pause in are you talking about the TANF funding?
No, BEPS, which is the energy savings, where the buildings all had to put in new equipment, air conditioning, heating, et cetera. It cost millions of dollars, and we had several special assessments. And all of our buildings are in trouble. And we wanted to know what the new deadlines were for the apartment buildings. It is a major expense.
Okay, new deadlines, and you want to know exactly where in the budget.
Exactly. I've looked, and I was at OMB 25 years, and I couldn't find it in the mayor's budget. So that says something about my search capabilities or your organization. But we need to know the exact pages so we know what we're supposed to do or who we can call so we can amend our budgets.
Okay, we will follow up with that and have that information.
Thank you. That's a big deal for, I think, everybody in many people in Foggy Bottom. Thank you.
And Barbara, before you go off, is the chair able to reach you, or do I need to get specific contact information?
Well, Ty has my specifics. The chair has my specifics. Most people have. Great. I was also a staff director in Congress, and I read budgets all the time. So the fact that I can't find it, probably most people can't find it.
Understood. We'll get you the specific information.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
all right, one last call to a member of the public. If you have any questions for Director Abed, we'll go ahead and recognize you. Please use the raise your hand function to be recognized. If you're on the phone, *9. All right, Director Abed, I think I can sincerely say no further questions from colleagues or members of the public. Thank you for doing the presentation.
Thank you so much, Chair Patel. Thank you all for the time. I hope you had a great evening. Bye.
All right. Next item up on the agenda is a report from MPD. If you're a member of MPD, please raise your hand and we'll go ahead and promote you.
Hello, everyone. How are you this evening?
Doing well, Lieutenant Howden. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. I will not take terribly long. Since we spoke about a month ago, as far as stats and numbers go, we had a fairly significant decrease in reported thefts. So going from the top to bottom, we had 0 violent crimes reported, so homicide, sex abuse, assault with deadly or dangerous weapon, robberies, 0, which is great in ANC 2A. We had 0 burglaries. We had 6 reported thefts from auto, and we had 17 just generally reported thefts versus 33 the month before. I will tell you that is almost completely attributable to the closure of the E Street CVS. Now, I know that that is problematic because I believe a lot of folks in the community utilize that particular facility because of its placement. So that is definitely a loss to the community as a whole. But, if you're just looking at a piece of paper, it's a benefit. So, as far as the motor vehicle thefts go, because that's a big deal, the 3 of them we had were a Honda Civic left running with the key in the ignition, a moped, and then a 2014 Porsche that owed $1,200 in tickets, had expired registration, and the owner magically walked into the 7th District Police Station to report it stolen from ANC 2A. So if you're like me, you may be a smidge suspicious about that one. The key point there is don't leave your vehicle running and unattended. Always lock it, secure it, and make sure the keys are not accessible to anyone that you do not wish operating your motor vehicle. Just the key points that I always hit on: please do not lock your bike to anything. No bike rack, no pole, no sign, no tree. The fact is that modern tools that run on batteries will cut nearly any lock. They just will defeat it in seconds, and you will come back and find a cut lock and no bike. So while it is an inconvenience, those public bike racks are just a good way to lose your property. Do not leave anything in your vehicle. Anything. No backpack, no purse, no shoe, no items. And also, of course, be careful where you park. If you see that line of glass along the curb, probably should consider parking somewhere else. Don't even leave it for a moment. People leave their bag in their car, run into the hotel for just a second, and they come back and the window is smashed and the bag is gone. You'd be shocked at the number of things that people leave in their vehicles. And I want to first also on this bullet point, I'm not sure if she's listening because I think she was a different ANC, but she might be out there. I wanted to thank the young lady who spoke up last month about not wearing high-end headphones in public. I really thought about what she had to say, and I reflected upon it, and I wanted to come back with kind of a more definitive, just don't wear high-end headphones or really headphones of any kind out in public. It reduces your ability to hear what's going on around you, so that puts you more at risk of being struck by a vehicle or a bicycle or a scooter or any sort of thing, but it also makes you less aware of your surroundings. At the same time, it makes you a target to someone who might want to run up and grab those high-end headphones. So special thanks to her, even though I don't know who she is. If she's listening, you made me think about it, so thank you. Let's see. I know, again, with that CVS closure on E Street, it has probably created some burdens to some residents, which opens the door into the CVS thefts being just a chronic issue citywide. As far as 2D goes, particularly in the lower end, we have been working with CVS. We are trying to get them, as far as their interactions with the police department, to focus more on the repeat and major offenders so that we can focus those resources a little bit more, intensely, specifically, and get to closures and arrests, which I think we're having some payoff there. So just an overall better use of our resources, better use of their resources, which is kind of the name of the game. So I think we're having some benefit on that. Unfortunately, that one is particularly unavailable. Repeat address for thefts. The 900 block of New Hampshire, the 7-Eleven, still going to be an issue, but it only had two reported instances in the last 30 days versus some of the things that we had seen in the past where we're into the double digits solidly. So overall, we've had some good 30 days. Now, I am not blind to the fact that most of the lower end has been walled off for a good portion of that 30 days for one event or the other. So that, you know, that helps. But we'll see what next month brings. I don't know that I had any carryover issues that I needed to bring up for anybody. If I did, I'm sorry. I didn't bring it. But please, anyone with any questions?
Thank you, Lieutenant Howden. Actually, Commissioner Malik has his hand raised for a question. I'm going to go ahead and recognize him.
Thank you. I have a comment and a question. I understand and take the point on the high-end headphones, but I do want to note that I think it's disturbing that a representative for our police department is coming before this commission and essentially telling us that our city is not safe enough for us to wear nice headphones. And I don't know that our response as a city to that should be to say, okay, we're just going to not wear nice headphones. I think we need to drill down into what the cause of that is and what would be necessary to create an environment where that is not a risk. With that said, my question, the mayor has talked about expanding the youth curfew, potentially pretty significantly, especially under an emergency period where I think the curfew could go to like as early as 7 p.m. How do you, as a police department, enforce curfew violations? And specifically, if you are enforcing a curfew violation, do you search the teen in question? And could there be repercussions from that search as a result of the curfew violation?
Wow, those are some hefty questions. So to start at the top, as far as the headphones go, I mean, I think it's generally accepted that you shouldn't wear headphones while driving. You shouldn't wear headphones, when you're walking in the street, because it limits your ability to hear what's around you and then makes you more susceptible to just, getting run over. As far as high-end, high-value things, I stop people casually on the street all the time in the Connecticut Avenue corridor and the club zone area when they're walking around with flashy jewelry, lots of gold chains, things that are making them a potential target. The fact is, we live in a city and cities have problems, and all it takes is one person who's up to no good to target someone who's being a little, I don't want to say flamboyant, but flashy with their material goods. It's just an unfortunate byproduct of, I think, city living. The curfew, that is a very complicated issue. The Metropolitan Police Department has a very well-defined and specific general order with regard to curfew enforcement. I will say that things that you have seen in the news are very heavily driven by juvenile behavior. Things going on in the Navy Yard, things going on down at the wharf, issues on U Street. All of those large crowd type problems are very, very heavily juvenile driven. So I don't know, as a community, as a city, as a government, what is the answer?
Lieutenant, I'm sorry to interrupt you. What I'm asking is specifically, how do you enforce the juvenile curfew? Like, what are if a juvenile is out on the streets past curfew and a patrol car drives by, does the patrol car stop and ask them for identification to find out what age they are and if they're in violation of that curfew? And then what are the subsequent actual steps that happen after that?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't have the general order in front of me, and I haven't been a patrol officer out enforcing curfew, so I cannot list like bullet points. I can get you that specific information in the next couple of days, and we can go like line by line through that. But in practice, if you're a juvenile walking down the street and you appear to be in that kind of in-between age, maybe you're not quite of age, but you're not, 9. If you're just minding your own business, the police aren't going to in any way generally make contact with you because you're just out going about your normal activities. If you are out in an area doing things that you shouldn't be doing and you're a juvenile, well, then that's going to invoke some sort of response. And I think the mayor's intention with that is those scenarios. We're not just driving around seeing a youth and jumping out saying, "Come here, kid." It's more to that crowd mentality, crowd problem. So the idea is not to stigmatize the youth in some sort of criminal way. It's definitely more of a safety and protection rather than a criminal aspect. I think that may be kind of one of the threads in your question. They're generally not looking to be handcuffed. They're not looking to be searched. There's a strong focus on not criminalizing and stigmatizing the curfew issue just for kids being out being kids.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions or comments from colleagues before I turn to members of the public? All right, seeing no further questions or comments from colleagues, I'm going to go ahead and turn to a member of the public. If you would like to speak, go ahead and raise your hand and we'll promote you. All right, John, you're recognized. Hi, John, you're recognized. We can hear you. You're off mute.
I didn't raise my hand.
Your hand is raised on the computer. It's okay though. If you have any questions or comments for MPD and you're a member of the public, please raise your hand and we'll go ahead and promote you. *9 if you're on the phone. All right. I see one member of the public's raised their hand. We'll go ahead and promote you. You've been promoted. Go ahead and speak.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, sir.
Yes, I have a question. Are there any regulations regarding electric vehicles riding on our sidewalks at certain speeds or anything like that to protect?
There absolutely are. Unfortunately, with regard to many of those electric motorized vehicles, the statutes are difficult at best to enforce, and there's some history there that I won't go into right now. But if you are observing or seeing a chronic issue, please reach out. If it's a right now sort of situation, please call 911. If not, please reach out to me or any one of us. But my email address is michael.howden, that's michael.howden@dc.gov. Always open for emails, and we can discuss any particular issue that you have ongoing, and we can attempt to address it and find some long-term solutions. I know it can be an issue with some of the scooters and the bikes and the folks up on sidewalks, creating a little bit of a pedestrian hazard. But yes, there are.
There is no signage anywhere regarding this, right?
Some places have signage, like the Central Business District. You're not supposed to ride bikes on the sidewalk, but that's not really ANC 2A. again, signage or not everybody follows the rules, and then we have to find a way to make things better for everyone.
Well, I've been, we're in the business district here in West End, and I see them riding on the sidewalks all the time. I see them riding by the police officers. They don't even say anything to them. And since we don't have any signage, there's really nothing that we can tell them, that we can point to a sign or something. And it's just wild. It happens all the time. If I were going to write to you, I would have to write to you every day and almost every hour of every day.
Well, please reach out to me and we can discuss your specific location and address, and then maybe I can come out and we can speak and we can kind of look at what you have specifically going on and start to look at your specific concern.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Any further questions or comments for MPD from members of the public? Please raise your hand. We'll go ahead and recognize you. Lieutenant Howden, I believe there are no further questions or comments from members of the commission or members of the public.
Well, thanks so much for having me. As always, please, everyone, share my email address with anyone that has questions or concerns. I'm always open to a midnight email. I do respond, and we can discuss whatever you need to discuss. And also, don't forget to call 911 if you need to. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Next item up on the agenda is report from ANC2A's appointees to the Aston Community Advisory Team. If you're a member of the CAT, please raise your hand. I'll go ahead and promote you. Commissioner Malik, you're recognized.
Thank you. Our ANC appointee, Chris Labus, had to leave the meeting early, and our other seat is not currently filled. So I wasn't planning on giving a presentation on this tonight. I don't have my notes from the meeting with me, but I'll give a few quick updates, super quick updates. So first off, there were no complaints from the community about operations at the Aston or community impacts during the previous month. There has actually never been a complaint from the community in the entire time that we've been meeting as a CAT, and I've been asking that question. So that's fantastic. There have been some concerns raised among CAT members about the trash situation in front of the building, with trash cans being out front and not necessarily being sealed, which could create a rodent issue. The good news is we were told that a trash compactor has been installed and either will be operational within a matter of a couple of weeks, or it may currently be operational at this point. I'm not sure, but it'll become, it's either online now or will become online very soon, which should mean that we don't really have any issues with overflowing trash cans, for the foreseeable future, if ever. So was really happy that that got addressed quickly. I think the issue was first raised a month ago, and then DHS came back with an answer about the trash compactor at the next meeting. So very responsive there. We also had a robust discussion about volunteer opportunities. As I said, I don't have my notes from the meeting with me, so I'm going to defer on most of that until Chris is able to come back in July and give the specifics. But one of the big takeaways is that Friendship Place will accept food donations. If you were running an event, for example, and you had a bunch of boxed lunches that you didn't know what to do with, you could potentially bring those over to the Aston. Additionally, there are opportunities to do like brown bag lunches. So if you have an organization and you wanted to get your group together and, create, sandwiches with a bag of chips, it doesn't have to be fancy, really anything like that. You could certainly do that and then bring those over to the Aston. They do just ask that you coordinate all of this with them before you actually show up with the food. For one reason, they want to make sure that it's, appropriate, and that it's going to be useful at the facility. And also they need to make sure that it's enough food. I think right now they said there's, 87 residents or somewhere around there. So they don't want, a group bringing in 20 brown bag lunches, which could create more problems than it solves. So if you are interested in that, the email that you should use is volunteer@friendshipplace.org. Or you can just email myself, the chairperson, any of the ANC representatives to the CAT. We can get you in touch with the right person. But they are definitely open to that if that's something that you all want to be involved in. That's all I've got for now. I'll leave the rest for Chris. But things at the Aston seem to be going great.
Commissioner Malik, if I may, can I pose a question or just make a
Absolutely.
comment? Since you're giving the update, that's the only reason why. Great to hear all of this great feedback and that they can do food donations. I was gonna let you do it, but you forgot to mention it, but I'll chime in and say it now. So we are going to go ahead and make a call for applications to fill the vacant spot for the ANC2A counterpoint. Like you just literally found out yesterday, so like you had a lot to say. So but I just want to let you know that we are going to go ahead and do that. If the commission is amenable, I was going to release the application on Monday, the 23rd, give 2 weeks to the public to submit applications. And then after that, close it on Monday, July 7th. And that gives the commission at least about a week and a half to review it before our July meeting. And I was going to slot an ANC2A appointee election for the July meeting, if that is amenable to the colleagues.
Yeah, I mean, that timeline is fine with me, Chairperson. We do have the July 4th holiday weekend in that. I'm sure you've accounted for that. I think it's still sufficient time as long as we, communicate about this. So I'm good with that timeline.
Okay. That's all I wanted to chime in and add. So I yield the floor back to you since this is your section.
If anyone else has any questions, either colleagues or members of the public, I'm happy to do my best to answer them. It looks like there are none, so thanks.
All right. Thank you for the update. We're going to go ahead and move on to our next section of the agenda. This is a report from our Ward 2 council member, Brooke Pinto's office. And we're going to go ahead and promote you.
Hi, everybody. You able to see and hear me okay before I start? Great. So, good evening, everybody. We're going to start with some quick budget updates. As you just heard from the mayor's office, the FY26 budget process is well underway. The Judiciary Committee finished up our last round of hearings last week. Markups are going to take place June 23rd through 25th. And budget votes will be July 14th, 28th, and one other date in July yet to be scheduled. I know that was a lot of numbers very fast. I will post the schedule in the chat. Now that we have the mayor's proposed budget, please feel free to send us any questions that you have about 2A priorities. The House of Representatives has still not fixed the issue they caused with our FY25 budget, as you well know, and we are closely monitoring proposed federal changes to Medicaid funding, grocery assistance benefits, and other programs on which DC residents rely. Some legislative updates. Councilmember Pinto has been continuing to conduct public safety visits with council members in every ward. She recently completed visits in wards 3, 4, and 5. We are on track for the council to pass Councilmember Pinto's bill banning cell phone use during the school day at DC schools in the coming month. DCPS has announced that it will take effect for the coming school year. Yesterday, the council voted to advance Councilmember Pinto's Peace DC omnibus bill and other critical parts of the Peace DC plan at first reading. The bills that passed on the first vote include PCC Omnibus Amendment Act of 2025, Safe Passage Training and School Engagement Act of 2025, and the Residential Tranquility Amendment Act of 2025. Another part of the Peace DC plan, the merger of the violence interruption programs, is likely to be addressed in the budget process. Other parts of the plan have been referred to different committees and are awaiting hearings there. As a reminder, really quick, we have the Juneteenth holiday tomorrow and July 4th in a few weeks. For both of those, trash, recycling, and food waste collections will slide. There's more information about that on DPW's website if anybody is curious. And that is all for me. Quick update this month, and I am good to take questions.
Thank you, Hannah. I do have some questions, but before I go, I want to give the opportunity to my colleagues if they wanted to answer, um, put forward any questions before I launched into all of mine. Okay, seeing none. Thank you for the updates. Number one, I don't think I had a chance to update the office. It's been a hectic budget hearing cycle. So I got an official response from DGS, and their response is that DHS will reallocate some of their funding to go ahead and give the Aston a fully functioning generator. So this time I didn't have to yell and scream in all sorts of hearings. I actually got it in the second hearing. They
That's
messaged me
great.
the night before. Obviously, while DHS has allocated those fundings, we do know that for those of you who don't understand the budget process, Chairman Mendelson does have the discretion to reallocate funding. So I would hope that Councilmember Pinto, I know she had indicated through all of you staff-wise that she was very supportive of this budget ask. I just asked that she reiterate to the chairman that the funding be kept, that he not reallocated to another priority. Considering that DHS is facing a 6% budget cut. So the fact that they reallocated funds for this specific ask is really huge. I think the only other question I have, and it's to kind of piggyback off of what Commissioner Malik had brought up earlier. So yes, the council voted on Peace DC. I know there was a lot of back and forth about youth engagement, juveniles. So I wanted to kind of, I know Lieutenant Howden gave a response, but I think the point that Commissioner Malik raised is an important one. Because I will say this and attach it only to myself. I'm not speaking on behalf of any of the commissioners. I very much am worried about the criminalization of youth that has been spoken about in many circles. And so I think Commissioner Malik has brought up an important point of, we don't want to sit here and kids, it's summertime, kids want to be out, they want to have fun. And I don't want a kid, a juvenile who was just trying to have some fun be criminalized or, not understanding like they violated the curfew. So has the council or the councilwoman thought about these ramifications?
So the youth curfew isn't something that I really know much about at the moment. I can definitely ask. I know that's more coming from the mayor's office at the moment. But there is one of the things that Councilmember Pinto is very focused on is violence interruption for youth, things like the School Safe Passages program, the violence interruption merger. A lot of that is targeted at helping youth stay out of the system. So I can try to get you an answer on the curfew specifics, but I don't really know at the moment.
Okay. Thank you, Anna. That was it was actually Commissioner Malik's question. I just kind of wanted to follow up with you since you were from the councilwoman's office about that. Okay. Commissioner Malik, you recognize, I see you raised your hand.
Thank you. So quickly, I mean, it is, yes, absolutely the criminalization aspect. I am deeply concerned about that. Obviously, we need everyone to follow the law, and that includes our youth. But I'm deeply concerned about what, where people are going to be where juveniles are going to be when they get stopped for curfew violations, and what the subsequent actions as a result of that stop might be. Also, it is wrong to make assumptions about why any particular youth might be in transit on our public streets at any given time of the day. we have youth who unfortunately have caretaking responsibilities for their families. We have youth who have to go to and from work, who have to go to and from educational commitments and don't have a parent or a guardian who's able to take them to those things. So I think you can't just paint this with a broad stroke and say that, you know, our youth are the problem, and the way we're going to solve that problem is by keeping them indoors. That is not I think who we are, and I think we need to be very, very careful about trying to deal with these issues with these huge overarching actions.
Yeah, thank you so much. I can definitely pass that along to our legislative team and try to kind of get you an answer.
Okay. Thank you, Hannah. Do you have any questions or comments from colleagues for Councilwoman Pinto's team? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and turn over to members of the public. If you're a member of the public and you have a question for Councilwoman Pinto's team, please raise your hand. We'll go ahead and promote you. Hannah, I believe that no member of the public has questions for you. Thank you for tonight. I don't know if you're going to be able to stay to hear our budget resolutions, but if you can stay, I think I would appreciate you just being here, seeing what ANC2A is going to weigh in on budget wise.
Yeah. And I'll also post my email and everything in the chat. So if any of the public do have further questions, always feel free to shoot me an email.
Okay, thank you so much, Hannah. I'll go ahead and yield you back to being an audience member. So we're going to go ahead and go into the next segment of our agenda, which is commissioner updates. We'll go ahead and go in numerical order. Vice Chairperson DeCapo, do you have any updates?
I do
not. Next is me, Chairperson Patel of 2A03. I am happy to share that DHS and DGS have officially responded to my performance oversight resolution submitted before. So thank you, colleagues, for supporting that. They responded with their questions, and they have stated that they are going to treat it as a budget priority. For those of you who are curious why I still have it on the agenda, we still need to continue to be following it through the budget process, because it can be reallocated at the discretion of Chairman Mendelson. I testified a few hours ago before Chairman Mendelson, and I asked him to keep the funding that has been allocated for the generator for him to not touch it and to leave it as is. And so the resolutions that are being presented tonight will help with that. So that is pretty much all the updates that I have. I will yield and go ahead to Commissioner Comer.
I have a question. How much
Yes.
money is being reallocated for the generator?
They did not give me a specific number.
Do you have a range? Are we talking thousands, hundreds of thousands, or millions of dollars?
They did not give the number. Because DGS has not bought the generator as of yet, but I was just told DHS has reallocated the funding. They didn't give me the specifics. I apologize, Commissioner Comer. I wish I had a more specific answer. So I'm just trying to safeguard that they've given that money. But I did yield the floor to you for your commissioner updates. But thanks for the question. I appreciate it.
Okay. I have no real updates.
Okay, I think I'm next. Jim Malik, 2A08. No major updates for you this month. I just want to let you know that I will be holding my next office hours on July 9th at the West End Library from 5 to 7 p.m. I'm also going to do Zoom concurrently at that same time. So if you're not able to make it to the West End Library and you want to talk to me about community matters, I can also give you a Zoom link and we can just talk that way. It's July 9th, 5 to 7. Thank you to everyone who has signed up for my 2A08 email list to get updates about what's going on with the ANC and what's happening in our community. If you want to join that list, you can do so at jimsemaillist.com. I have not actually sent a newsletter yet, but I promise you there will be one in July. So thanks to everyone who has been waiting patiently for that. That's all I got.
Thank you, Commissioner Malik. Commissioner Youngstone, if you have an update you'd like to provide.
No specific updates.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Youngstone. And then we're going to the last segment in this section. This is announcements and public comments. If you're a member of the public that has an announcement or a comment, please raise your hand. We'll go ahead and recognize you. All right, seeing no announcements or comments from members of the public, we're going to go ahead and go into the next agenda item. It is matters before the Board of Zoning Adjustment, and this is under me. If you are here for, let me see. Oh, we didn't put the address, but it is BZA case number 21317. We'll go ahead and promote you. Good evening, Mr. Moore.
Good evening, Chairperson Patel. The address in question is 2413 I Street, Northwest. For the interest of brevity here, we are looking to expand for one of our clients a two-story row home to match the depth of the neighboring row homes as well. We do have some images and documentation if you would like to see. To be honest, this is the first ANC presentation that we've done, so we're happy to provide whatever details you need.
I think for the sake of the public and for my colleagues, I think the presentation would be helpful. So if you need your screen share, just go ahead and our executive director will authorize you to do a screen share.
Okay, yes, please.
And while you do that, just to speed things along, I'm going to go ahead and move this item. I'm calling for a second just so that we can go straight into discussion. Vice Chairperson DeCapo is going to be the second of record. Chair Patel has moved this item.
Point of
All right.
process, what is the motion? I'm sorry.
Oh, I guess I just moved to open debate on this. I want a motion to approve, but I definitely want to make sure we open for debate just for the sake of brevity.
Okay. I mean, it's when something is already on the agenda, we've already adopted being able to talk about it by approving the agenda. So I just got confused about that. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, are you able to see my screen?
We are able to see your screen. Go ahead, Mr. Moore.
Thank you. So this is the subject property. The rendering shows the property being bumped out to be in line with some of the neighboring properties, including the immediately adjacent property here. So this is kind of the most telling slide of what we're looking to do for this client is to bring the property back to the neighboring property rear line. You can see that illustrated here and from multiple views. So the request is relatively simple, but of course requires multiple layers of review and approval.
And so just to be clear, Mr. Moore, this extension, it has nothing to do with height. It's just literally like bringing them up to parity to their next door neighbor, which you've shown in the other photograph side by side. So there's technically no issue. I don't see any type of light being blocked. Yes, like in this image and than that one.
Correct, Chairperson. This is only bringing it in line with the other property. As you can see, there's no windows, no effect for the neighboring property. And then the other side, it's open to a small alleyway. So it should be of minimal impact.
Okay. It's very straightforward for me. I do not know if my colleagues had any questions or concerns. Do see one of them has their hand raised. Vice Chairperson DeCapo, I see your hand is raised.
Yeah, quick question. During the construction, will there be any impact on that public alley that gives access to the street from Snooze Court?
Impact, there'll be impact in the same way that there'll be impact for any other similar project. There is no designated work area for the alleyway, although I have to ask my colleague, are we looking for a public space permit for the alleyway or just the front?
We can do that at a later time. Yes, we can definitely do that.
Okay. So yeah, there isn't going to be any scope of work for the alleyway, if that's answering your question.
Thank you.
Any further comments or questions from colleagues on the matter before I turn it over to members of the public? If you're a member of the public and you have any questions or comments about this agenda item, please raise your hand and we'll go ahead and recognize you. Okay, seeing no further comments or questions, I am going to go ahead and move that we approve this application before BZA. Vice Chairperson DeCapo, are you still willing to be the second of record? We'll just go ahead and, because I can't see the screen, I will go ahead and do this by division of the House for Robert's rules. We're going to go ahead and go in numerical order. This is voting to approve the application. Vice Chairperson DeCapo, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chairperson Patel is a yes. Commissioner Comer?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Malik?
Present.
Okay. And Commissioner Youngstown?
Yes.
Okay. That is approved for, can't remember which order is which. There is one abstention / present vote and 0 no's. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Moore.
All right, my pleasure. Thank you, Chairperson.
Okay, and moving along, this is a new agenda item that was amended to be added at the beginning of the meeting. For the sake of brevity, it is matters before APCA, and this topic is going to be around appointing another representative on the matter for Velets. Commissioner Malik?
Thank you. If I may, Chairperson, can we also discuss, because I don't think that we covered this at the last meeting, you alluded to this earlier in your comments, what specifically the commission is authorizing whoever is represented to do? In other words, are we authorizing the negotiation and execution of a settlement agreement during mediation, or are we authorizing the negotiation of a settlement agreement which would need to come back to the commission for a vote?
So Commissioner Malik, that's actually a really good question. So depending on the temperament of the commission, myself and Commissioner Yang are the two designees. Commissioner Yang is on travel to China. The mediation takes place Wednesday, July 2nd. And so the ANC needs to appear at the mediation to keep it standing. If there is no representative that attends that meeting, we will lose the ANC will lose their standing. I am already designated as one of the two representatives. My question to the commission earlier in my email correspondence to everybody was that should all protestant parties at mediation decide on a settlement agreement at that point, I would need to be given authorization to sign it because I am not given that power has not been granted to myself or Commissioner Yang. And this is only to preserve the ANC standing because if I go to the mediation and there is a settlement agreement crafted during mediation, if I'm not authorized, the ANC is not even classified as a party to that settlement agreement. So this is just simply for that purpose. It is just to ensure if any Commissioner Comer, I see you. Let me please finish.
Yep, please. I have questions.
Yes, of course. So this is just to ensure that should a settlement agreement be reached at that mediation, that the ANC can enter it at that time. Now, I have been told even if an agreement has been reached in that mediation, if the ANC has a meeting scheduled later on, it's fine, but that is the agreement that the ANC would then have to vote on. I know it's a little confusing.
Let me clarify that. What I hear you said is if there is a settlement agreement reached in the mediation, does the ANC still have the opportunity to vote yay, yes, or no on that settlement agreement? You said two things. You said one case you had to agree to it, the ANC representative had to agree to it, and then you said no, the ANC still has the opportunity to vote on that agreement up or down. Which is it?
So if the ANC chooses to not grant me the authority to sign off in that mediation agreement, then it would have to come back to the ANC for a vote. So the tradition of this ANC commission has been that a settlement agreement is codified by the entirety of the commission. So in my time on the ANC commission, we have not had an application go this far in the stage. A settlement agreement has always been reached or negotiated upon. The understanding of mediation is that it is encouraged by APGA, by all parties involved, to use the mediation to come to a settlement agreement. Whatever contentious sticking points are there, they use that. If the mediation is not successful, the next step is to go to the protest hearing.
Okay. May I comment on the process? Or do we need a motion or something? My view in this particular case is that I think the applicant in this case has made a number of representations that I know a number of us feel have misrepresented the facts and perhaps the law. And I have a number of concerns about what's going on there. And I personally feel very strongly that even if a settlement is reached in mediation, it is important for that to be presented to the full commission. I have never seen an applicant to us make the kinds of misrepresentations and really kind of adverse comments about members of the commission that I've seen in this proceeding. And I think it's really important and I that the full commission have a say before we agree to any settlement. If one is reached, I'm really find the applicant very just lots of questions about what they've had to say. And I don't feel comfortable relying, delegating our authority to approve a final decision. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Commissioner Malik?
Yeah, I just want to say I agree with Commissioner Comer on that point. I agreed with him last term too, even when I was chairperson. So it's not a question of who the chair is or any of that. I think that the commission should always have the final say in settlement agreements. I think there's been some question about what the law even stipulates in this scenario. But yeah, firmly agree with Commissioner Comer. I think that the commission should have the final say, in part because it's okay to not reach a settlement agreement. We're not required to come to an agreement. If we are not able to agree on terms that we think benefit the community and protect the community's interests, it's okay to not sign on to anything. And I think, the commission should have the final say in that.
Commissioner Comer?
I
saw you raise
I'd
your
like
hand
to
again.
add, yeah, I'd just like to add, there are a lot of members of the community that had concerns and objections about this particular application. And I think bringing an agreement back to the full commission gives them an opportunity to comment as well. And given the extensive community concern that we heard, I think that's the way we should proceed.
Okay. So thank you, Commissioners Comer and Malik. Sorry, Malek. Did not mean to mispronounce your name. That was an accident.
No, it's not. You had it right the first time.
Oh, I did. Sorry. I keep trying to not get it wrong, but please know it does not come from a space of like trying to be disrespectful. That is not my intention. Okay. So I do want to provide some context. So number one, I myself have been CC'd on all communications with the attorney in question. And I respected Commissioner Yang's request to stay out of it, to back off. But the reality is that there are a lot of questions around the settlement agreement, and Commissioner Yang had committed to us to get the settlement agreement a full week before the meeting. And I will say, the attorney, I'll say his name, Attorney McGowan, has operated in good faith.
I don't think so.
Well, that is your opinion. I have been CC'd on those communications.
I can't say he operated. I can't comment on his settlement negotiations, but I think some of the comments he's made before the commission were not made in good faith.
Well,
and that's one of the things that troubles me.
Well, Commissioner Comer, I mean, the comments I'm about to make, I need to state for the record. Attorney McGowan has turned in everything as requested. He sent in a draft settlement agreement at the time. He asked numerous times for Commissioner Yang to provide feedback. I looked at those settlement agreements. He would send numerous emails. She would finally respond, and then when he said, okay, I've got the response, I read the tentative pushback, the red line version, and Attorney McGowan responded saying a lot of the things that the community had requested and would want would not pass APCA's general counsel, which is the truth. APCA's general counsel reviews the settlement agreement. A lot of the terms that were put in or requested by the community would not pass muster. Cited with documentation on the codes. Now I understand nobody else on the commission has seen those things. I have alone, and I was CC'd on everything as the other representative. Mr. McGowan officially called me to file a complaint about how this entire situation has been handled. As the chair, I have to take any complaint lodged seriously. I did request Attorney McGowan to continue working with Commissioner Yang in spite of their friction. When Attorney McGowan responded and said a lot of the things that you don't want, that you are asking for, don't meet merit, Commissioner Yang said that if these are the things that you are not going to agree to, I'm going to go back to the commission and say that you don't want to have a settlement agreement, which is not the truth. Attorney McGowan has offered numerous times to want to work through this. This has become unnecessarily contentious.
A point of just a point of order, if I may break in. I'm not sure that any of this is relevant to the discussion at hand.
You're correct, Commissioner Malik, it's not, but Commissioner Comer has brought this up. And
well, I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt. I do think it's relevant because I think, you know, the history of the negotiation, and given the disputes and contention, make it all the more important that the full commission become aware of this and get involved in making a final decision.
Commissioner Malik, did you want to continue your point since you did allow the courtesy of Commissioner Comer to interject?
Sure. No, I mean, I take your point on that, Commissioner Comer. I understand what you're saying. I think, you know, I'm reluctant to get into details or opinions of how the negotiation unfolded without Commissioner Yang here to talk about this from her perspective. Obviously, Counsel McGowan or Attorney McGowan has communicated similar sentiments to us as he communicated to you, Chairperson. I've also spoken with Commissioner Yang about this. I spoke to her almost immediately after we were first informed of this situation by Attorney McGowan. And she, probably not surprisingly, has a very different take on how all of this has transpired. So, you know, there's truth in Commissioner Comer's point. The history of the negotiations is relevant to the extent that we should definitely, in my opinion, all have final say on signing off on a settlement agreement. But I don't know that this discussion is relevant to why this item was added to the agenda beyond that. So at this point, I'm going to move my first of two motions. The first motion is going to be to nominate Commissioner Comer to serve as the designee in replacement of Commissioner Yang since she is out of town and unable to attend that mediation hearing. If there's not a second, my motion to nominate Commissioner Comer as Commissioner Yang's replacement would not move forward. I
have a question.
Yes.
Are you then suggesting you are not interested in replacing Commissioner Yang?
We need can I get a second on this motion so we can go into debate and then I'll explain it?
I'll second it just for the debate.
Thank you. So Commissioner Yang specifically asked me if I'd be willing to attend the mediation in her stead. You know, I am not an attorney. Commissioner Comer, you are, and you've expressed strong opinions about how this process should unfold. And so hearing you talk about this, you know, I personally think that you might be the person best suited to sit in on those negotiations or to sit in on that mediation on behalf of the commission if you are available and interested in doing it. If you are not, I'm certainly happy to do that if that's the commission's wish, but I wanted to give you the opportunity first.
I've checked my calendar and I am available. What time is it on the 2nd? Well, it doesn't matter. I'm available on the 2nd.
Yeah, I don't know the time. I believe it's in the morning, though.
Okay.
So that's my motion. The motion has been seconded. If you would accept that, I would ask the chair to call a vote on this. If not, I am happy to, as May asked or Commissioner Yang asked, to go there. But again, you're an attorney. I like to think I am sometimes, but I am not.
I'm happy to do it.
So I do need to state for the record that Commissioner Yang did not have the authority to designate someone else. That is outside of her purview.
Chairperson, if I may,
I just want to say that for the record.
Well, she didn't designate anyone. We added this to the agenda so that
she did attempt to designate someone else. That is an important distinction that has to be made. When ANC2A filed the protest with the intention of getting a settlement agreement, because that is the only reason why I made the motion to protest, it was to work to get to a settlement agreement. Now, while it cannot be helped that Commissioner Yang has left the country, she's not authorized to make that decision. There were two representatives put forward, myself and her. So yes, you're right. Like, this vote would be to remove Commissioner Yang and replace her with someone else.
Right.
And I do, you know what, before I say anything, Commissioner Capo, I see your hand is up, so go ahead and chime in.
Quick question. Okay, she did not designate, and she does not have the authority to designate, but would it just be, since she is out of the country, could we, as a commission, do we have the authority to designate a temporary replacement while she is not in the country?
So Commissioner DeCapo, I am the other designee. There doesn't need to be a second person. The commissioner.
Point of process, that is the motion, though. The motion that I have made is to change the designation from Commissioner Yang to Commissioner Comer.
I understand that, but Commissioner DeCapo is under the impression that there has to be two people.
I'm not saying there has to be, but if that's the commission's wish that there be two people to negotiate, I'm just clarifying that we do have the authority to designate that as a commission.
That's what you said earlier, Chair Patel.
Yes, I am saying that.
We do have that authority. Yes.
So, but I need to remind everyone that the obligation, the duty of this commission is to, number one, like, whatever opinions and views we have about the proprietor's business should be kept out of it. Number one, our job is to advise and disseminate on a process. We are simply hearing a license. This should not have exploded and become this, free-for-all attack on colleagues, on respective attorneys, all of this. This is, in my steed, it gotten out of control. So, like, I want to make that clear, number one. Number two, I have had phone calls with various government stakeholders, and I want to make it clear to colleagues and to members of the public. It is the expressed sentiment, and it is for the greatest benefit of all parties involved, that we reach a settlement agreement. To go to a protest will be costly, time-consuming. I have no desire to go to a protest. I only motion to do a protest to get to a settlement agreement.
I have a question, point of order. Why do you say a protest is costly and time-consuming?
Because that involves hiring attorneys. It means going to court, and not for a few hours. That's probably a day, maybe 2 days.
Why would you go to court if you're before a we're before a commission. How do we get into a court? I don't understand the process.
So if there is no settlement agreement reached at mediation, the next step is to go to a protest hearing. This is where
protest
we are.
hearing before who?
This is before
ABCA?
Yeah, this is before
Okay.
APCA. And so this is where we are. And so mediation is the step before the
Okay.
protest hearing.
And can we represent ourselves there?
You can.
Okay. Nobody wants to do that. I hope we can reach a settlement, but I'm
That
just
is
trying to understand the process.
were you finished with your point? Because Commissioner Malik has his hand raised, but I want to make sure that I gave you space to answer.
Thank you. I appreciate the information.
Okay, Commissioner Malik.
I think this is a really great conversation, but I don't think that it is germane to the motion on the table, which is whether or not we want to vote to designate Commissioner Comer as the second commissioner on this, as opposed to Commissioner Yang. So I think I would ask the chairperson that we either corral conversation back to that and keep it germane, or have a vote on that motion.
Well, a respectful pushback on your point. I know technically while you say this isn't germane, it is germane, because it is important that anyone we nominate needs to understand that the goal is to try to go to a settlement agreement. I have no desire to drag this to a protest. I don't think it is a good use of the ANC's time and energy. And I have to state that at this point in the process, that whoever is going to be the other co-designee on this needs to understand that I am trying to bring the temperature down on this. We do not need to have another commissioner who is going to engage in a back and forth. Like, there has been a lot of unnecessary contention on here. I understand this is a topic that is, very controversial for everybody involved, but it is our obligation as commissioners to take some of that heat and temperature out. Attorney McGowan has followed the rules. If one designee is not, one representative is not cooperating, he has the right by APCA to have another representative, which he did request to the ANC.
I'd like to call the question.
Well, before we call the question, I have to take members. I have to go to members of the public to get their comments before we go to a vote.
Okay.
Commissioner DeCapo, did you have another comment or question?
I was just going to second to move to previous question, but ask the public first.
Yeah, I have to ask members of the public. Sorry, I know, but I will go ahead and motion for the vote after this. If you're a member of the public and you want to comment on this agenda item, raise your hand and you will be recognized. Hi, Jane, you're recognized. You've been promoted.
Thank you. I hope you can hear me.
We can hear you.
Great. I am a member of the public. My name is Jane Lewicki. I live one building away from Velvet. I think I may agree with bringing the temperature down, but what I'm interested in is doing what is right. And if that means going through the process step by step, I, as a member of the public and as a resident who is directly affected by this application and by this license, I really feel that we need to go through all the possible steps. So it's not a matter of like having everybody bring down the temperature. It's a matter of doing what is right in terms of how this affects the public, our understanding of what the application involves, because I'm not sure all of us understand that. I know we've had representatives from the Westbridge where I live, actually make comments at the ANC meeting, but I don't know what's happened since then. So as a member of the public, I have to agree with Mr. Comer and Mr. Malik. Thank you.
Okay, next person up. Matt, you've been promoted. You can go ahead and
Yes,
speak.
thank you. I just like to know whether I live at the Westbridge as well, and you're talking about a draft settlement agreement and a settlement agreement. At what stage in the process do we, as members of the public, get to see and comment on this settlement agreement?
Commissioner Malik, I see your hand is raised. I have a feeling you want to respond to that.
Yeah, thanks. If I appreciate the recognition, Chairperson. Matt, so at the special meeting where we voted to protest the application, we as a commission promised, to the extent that we were technically able to do that, that we would have the settlement agreement 7 days in advance, and that commissioners were then going to circulate it throughout the community through their listservs, however they chose to do that, 7 days in advance of voting. The reason that you have not seen a draft settlement agreement yet is because there hasn't been any agreement on the text or the language of that is in a state that we could pass around to the community yet. So I think I think the parties, based on the communication that I have seen, and Chairperson, you can certainly speak to this too, there is still a gap between what counsel for the applicant was expecting going into the settlement agreement process and what Commissioner Yang was negotiating. And so we have not been able to bring that to you yet. I still think, as Commissioner Comer noted earlier, that 7 days notice is important if we're able to do it. And I don't know off the top of my head what the timeline is for this. The fact that we don't have it done yet may mean that we're not able to give the community quite that much of a chance to review it, just depending on when the dates fall. I don't know about that, but that is, based on my understanding, the state of where things are right now.
Commissioner Comer, I'm going to recognize you.
Thank you. If Commissioner Malik is right that our vote last time indicated we would give the community 7 days notice, I think that is binding on our participation in mediation, and that while we're in mediation, even if we reach a tentative settlement, which hopefully we could do, we have an obligation, we have a commitment to provide the public 7 days notice. And I think that would therefore require us to vote on the final settlement after that notice was given. I don't think, as you said earlier, that any representative of this commission would be authorized to agree to a settlement during the mediation and before we had public notice and comment. Does anybody disagree with that?
Commissioner Malik, you're recognized. And so I do want to state that, we still have members of the public that want to speak, but I know this is important. So I do want to go back to the public. And if there's further discussion amongst commissioners, I do want to indulge that. But Commissioner Malik, I'm recognizing you. So go ahead.
Quick, just as a point of clarification, I agree with your sentiment, Commissioner Comer. If I recall, and we may have to go back to the record on this, I think what we asked for was that the settlement agreement would be given to commissioners no later than 7 days ahead of the vote, with the assumption that we as commissioners would then circulate it among our constituents as we saw fit. I don't believe that we agreed to a concrete public notice timeline, but I can't be certain about that.
If if my colleagues will indulge me, even though I'm the chair and I can interject at any point. So this was what was requested of Commissioner Yang. We requested that she present the settlement agreement to the commission 1 week in advance, so that if the commission had any suggestions or feedback to legal counsel, Attorney McGowan, that it was going to be us that would flush it out. That was the intention, which we had not gotten to that point. As you all know, when I asked Commissioner Yang when we can expect to see this, just as a gentle reminder, it did not land well. And so now we are in the situation where no one has seen anything with the exception of me. And, with everybody else flying blind, which I know is very unfair to all of you. Now, if I can ask Attorney McGowan to send another copy to the entirety of the commission to see exactly where him and Commissioner Yang were at before she left the country. I'm more than happy to request that he send that to everyone. And that was it. I am going to go ahead and recognize another member of the public so they can give their feedback.
My name is Barbara Kalo. I'm the other member of the public that she hasn't named. And I've had my hand up again a long time. Thank you. I agree.
Barbara, there was a back and forth with the commissioners. There was a dialogue, and I did acknowledge that you were waiting. So please don't say that I made you wait on purpose.
I just wanted to give you my name.
So I recognized you. So go ahead and say.
Thank you. Thank you. I have been very active in ABC cases. We have protested repeatedly as a civic association, and it is very important that the public get a chance to see, not just ANC commissioners, the public get to see, the affected public, what the draft agreement is. I agree with Jane Lewicki's comments. I used to live in that building. I agree with Ed Comer's comments. I agree with Jim Malik's comments. Period. If you need to have a special meeting, hold a special meeting. But the public should have an opportunity to see what's going to affect their daily lives. And I don't think that the Chairman Patel has any business living to represent everybody without their seeing it first. The public seeing it first.
Thank you for your feedback, Barbara. If there are any further comments or questions from members of the public, please raise your hand. So Matt, I've already allowed you to speak once. I am already an hour behind on my agenda.
I'll be very brief. I'd like the commission to clarify at some point. I certainly very much agree with Barbara's point. And when we're talking about 7-day notice, I'd like to clarify at some stage when that 7-day notice would occur. And we wouldn't like to see the thing mediated and have a settlement agreement and have the public be told about it afterwards. That's the only point. I mean, we'd like our input to be allowed in a timely manner before this thing is decided. So hopefully you'll be able to get it to us before the ANC votes on it and before APCA makes some final decision.
Commissioner, I'm sorry, Vice Chairperson DeCapo.
Yeah, I'd just like to move to previous question. We got a lot to get to.
Yes. It was the desire of the commission to have this conversation. So I did try to limit the debate, but y'all wanted to have it. So, so for the sake of minutes and for the sake of public record, I know Commissioner Malik moved a motion. You have seconded it, and you are the second of record, Vice Chairperson DeCapo. Commissioner Malik, could you please restate the motion that you're putting before the commission?
Happily, but we have a call to question right now, which requires a two-third vote to end debate. So we would need to do that by unanimous consent to get back to the original motion.
I think it's safe to call the question because I didn't see any more hands up.
Excellent.
That's the reason why when most people call the question, it's
Okay.
pretty safe to say that
Just
if there were a ton of
technically.
hands up, yes.
Okay, so the motion is my first of two motions that I'm offering on this agenda item. The motion is to replace the designation of Commissioner Yang as negotiator on behalf of the commission in the matter of the Velvet's ABCA application with Commissioner Comer.
Okay. We're gonna go ahead and do this vote by division of the House, Robert's rules. We're gonna go ahead and go numerical order. Vice Chairperson DeCapo,
No.
Chairperson Patel is a no.
Comer is a yes.
Yes.
Abstain.
Okay, the motion has failed. It is deadlocked 2-1.
Chairperson, how did Vice Chairperson DeCapo vote?
He was a no.
Yep. No, it's 2-1.
It is 2-1. Vice Chairperson DeCapo was a no. Chairperson Patel was a no. Secretary Comer was a yes. You yourself, Commissioner Malik, was a yes. Commissioner Youngstone has voted, he put his vote as an abstention. So the motion deadlocks.
Okay.
I'm recognizing you again. I'm sure you want to put a second motion.
Yep. Second motion, I will move that any settlement agreement negotiated on behalf of the commission during mediation must be approved by the commission.
I'll second it.
Okay, Commissioner Malik has moved the motion. Second of record is Secretary Comer. Is there a debate amongst colleagues on this? Any questions?
I'd like to request we forego debate given the sort of length of the previous discussion and the fact that it touched on this issue.
I agree.
Okay.
Agree.
Commissioner Malik, I see your hand is raised and I know we've ended our debate, but I do have to go to the members of the public on this. Okay, so if you're a member of the public, you have any questions or comments on this motion, please go ahead and raise your hand. You'll be recognized.
Thank you again for the time. I just wanted to make the point again that if you're going to vote on it, I hope that somewhere in here we're clarifying that the public is going to have a chance to look at the settlement agreement before you vote.
Okay, seeing no further questions, comments from members of the public, seeing no further questions or comments from colleagues, I'll go ahead and move the question. We'll go ahead and do this vote by division of the House, going in numerical order. Vice Chairperson DeCapo, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chairperson Patel is a no.
Comer is a yes.
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 Motion passes. It is 4-1-0. I always confuse which one is which, but it's 4 yeses, 1 no, and 0 abstentions. All right. Thank you so much, colleagues. This was a worthy, robust discussion to have. Moving on to the next agenda item, it is matters before the DC Council. We have the first resolution up for consideration. This is Commissioner Youngstone's resolution.
Yes, thank you. This resolution is specifically regarding the capacity of the Aston, the non-congregate shelter that used to be a GW dorm. It was opened back in November of last year. However, despite the fact that they have room to hold about 190 residents, they are currently capped at indefinitely at only having 100 total. This is due to an agreement that Councilmember Brooke Pinto inked with representatives of the mayor's administration, I believe back in 2023, that in which she basically agreed to support the Aston going forward as long as a number of stipulations were upheld. One of them was this indefinite 100-person cap. At this point, the Aston seems to have been very successful. It has increased its capacity at least once. We hit an initial target of 50 a couple months ago. It's currently increasing towards 100. I believe it's currently 80 something. However, yeah, as it's been a relatively successful shelter so far, and because there is currently extremely high demand for shelter beds within the DMHHS system, I think it's important that sort of we make available, at least in the long run, all the beds that sort of the Aston is able to house. Right now, if on a regular basis there are not enough male shelter beds within the DC system to meet demand, which is to say that a lot of times they're at 100% capacity. And I know Deputy Mayor Wayne Turnage has already stated that there is a need to increase the number of beds available in the system. So yeah, as far as I understand it, this limit of 100 was essentially an arbitrary compromise number, and I don't think there's any real reason for us to maintain it and keep 90 valuable beds that are already owned by the DC government empty indefinitely while there is major need for them.
All right, Chairperson Patel had to step out for a second, so I'll take over. Oh, no, she's back.
Okay, thanks. So Commissioner Youngstown, you're moving this resolution, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, have you called for a second of record yet?
Not yet. So I'll move the motion.
Okay,
I'll second it.
okay, moved by Commissioner Youngstown, seconded by Vice Chairperson DeCapo. We can go ahead and go straight into debate. I don't have any questions for you on this resolution. Thank you for writing it. I think this is an important resolution given the fact that we have an extremely tight budget cycle this year. We have a bridge housing facility that is operating at 50% capacity, which is an egregious waste of taxpayer dollars, especially if the need is going to be increasing in this next fiscal year, especially around supportive services for our unhoused neighbors. So, you know, I have advocated for this in the DHS budget hearing as well. Councilmember Matt Fruman indicated that he was going to have a conversation with Councilwoman Pinto about going to full capacity. So that's all I wanted to say. So I'm going to be supportive of this, but I want to make sure I give space to colleagues to chime in and comment. Do colleagues have any questions or comments for Commissioner Youngstown on his resolution? Okay, seeing no questions or comments from colleagues, I'm going to go ahead and turn to members of the public. If you're a member of the public that has a question or a comment about this, I see several people have raised their hands. So we're going to go ahead and promote you one by one. Good evening, Scott. You're recognized.
Thank you for Councilmember Patel and everyone. My name is Scott Schenkelberg. I'm the CEO of Miriam's Kitchen. We operate various services in and around the neighborhood for people experiencing homelessness. And my perspective on the Aston is that, to underscore everything that Councilmember Youngstone said, is that it is a facility that has been operating well in the neighborhood. It meets an incredible need for people experiencing homelessness, and the thought that there is unused capacity in a building owned by the district when there is such a need for it, it really is striking to me, and I don't see any particular reason that we would maintain this artificial cap of 100 residents in the facility at the time. So I am in complete support of this resolution to potentially raise the cap to its full capacity of 190 residents.
Thank you for your comments. Next person up. Mr. Black, you're recognized.
Yes, hello. My name is Reginald Black. I'm a lived experience representative on the Interagency Council on Homelessness. Also, I'm a peer mentor with People for Fairness Coalition, who partners with a mutual aid group that services encampments throughout Ward 2. And we support the resolution because we know that the bridge housing is something that those who are living in encampments need. It's not a traditional shelter. It gives them privacy. It gives them a non-congregate setting in which most of our year-round shelters are highly congregate settings with people 40 or more so in a dorm. These are things encampment residents have said that they wanted. They wanted to be able to access a shelter where they have privacy that's non-congregate, and then be able to work on the various issues that are presenting themselves to exacerbate their homelessness. And we definitely support the Ashton going to full capacity, being as though the city has basically decided to close down every encampment. One of the encampment closures that I witnessed was in front of the MLK Library. Those 90 beds could have served at least 3/4 of those people who are now displaced. So having those 90 beds it is a need right now. And yes, I definitely know that our shelter capacity is over 80% every night. With the heat emergency and everything coming up this week, we definitely want to have access to those kinds of beds to get people off the street. And I thank you, Commissioner Youngstone, for this resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Black. Next person.
Hello? You can hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to provide comments. I'm Kate Coventry. I'm the Deputy Director of Legislative Strategy at the DC Fiscal Policy Institute. DCFPI shapes racially just tax, budget, and policy decisions by centering Black and Brown communities. I'm also an appointed voting member of DC's Interagency Council on Homelessness, the body of government officials, providers, people with lived experience, advocates, and others who guide the district's homelessness response. I'm here to urge the ANC2A to support this resolution. The Aston provides a safe, dignified, short-term housing solution for individuals and adult families as they work towards permanent housing. Currently, capacity is capped at 100, although the building can accommodate 190. DC, like many other places, has mostly provided congregate shelter for individuals, which is, and many of these buildings are older, large buildings that have been repurposed. They're dirty. Residents report feeling unsafe. These conditions lead many people to live outside. The Aston addresses these issues as well as a longstanding issue, the district's need for co-ed shelter capacity. Almost all but 2 of our shelters are single sex, meaning that heterosexual couples can't go into shelter together. The Aston also serves clients with self-managed but chronic conditions. So expanding capacity at the Aston can help clients, but also help the city in that Deputy Mayor Wayne Turnage just reported that the shelters are now full and will probably be that way absent some intervention until we go back to hypothermia season. A lack of beds will just leave individuals no choice but to sleep outside. Just want to stress that Black residents bear the brunt of poor shelter conditions and lack of shelter beds. 75% of unaccompanied adults counted in the district's point in time count were Black. This is the result of enduring legacies of structural and individualized racism. Expanding Aston is a quicker, most cost-effective way to add shelter during a particularly tight budget year. We already own the building, the district already owns the building, and has made needed capital improvements. So just expanding capacity at the Aston would allow more residents to have access to safe, dignified shelter. I urge 2A to support this resolution. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you for your comments. Next member of the public, please. Commissioner Groth, you're recognized.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Nancy Groth. I'm Commissioner of 2CO2, which abuts 2A. And I'm very well aware of our desperate need for particularly men's shelter beds downtown. The Green Court shelter that would have started to help with that has turned out to be a wildly unsuitable property for doing that in. So anything that we can do to expand capacity, particularly non-congregate capacity. DHS was kind enough to give me a tour in March of the Aston, and I was very impressed with that. So I would, capping it artificially just seems completely ridiculous to me. We need to make sure that DHS also has the resources to literally get the beds to outfit the rest of the empty units and the staffing to go with it to make sure that they can be successful in ramping up to 188 or 190 or whatever the number is. But I urge you all to pass this resolution. And if you'll send me a copy of it, I will introduce it in 2C also to be in collaboration with you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you, Commissioner Groth. If there are any further questions or comments from members of the public, please raise your hand. We'll go ahead and promote you. Kim, you're recognized.
Hi, I helped out with moving people's stuff from the encampment evictions at the Whitehurst Freeway, which I'm sure you guys followed, happened many, many, many times over and over and over again. The only space that was available at the time that was offered to folks, and I know a number of folks who took it gratefully and were thrilled, and I also know the Aston is a great space. It was at the Aston, and I just wanted to communicate if y'all hadn't heard that particular feedback from former encampment residents, that this is a really valuable resource. I agree with the previous speaker that tapping it artificially is ridiculous in the face of the need. And I hope that you will hear that it is both greatly needed space in general, but also that space in particular is wonderful. And I hope that more folks will be able to go there.
Thank you for your comments, Kim. We have another member of the public. Hi, William. You're recognized.
Hi, I am an employee at the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Library. So we serve a lot of unhoused people who are desperately seeking shelter. This is something they articulate to us all the time. I think this artificial cap, this is not just detrimental to this one part of the city. It has ripple effects throughout the city. This is an easy thing to do. 90 beds would serve a lot of people. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Reed. If you're a member of the public, please raise your hand if you'd like to make a comment. Okay. Seeing no further comments from members of the public, members of the commission, do you have any further comments or questions for Commissioner Youngstown? Commissioner Youngstown.
I just wanted to take a moment. We had one person in the chat who left a message, but who had to leave early. I just wanted to read that out. Where is it? Okay. I'm not able to stay longer, but I'm here as a representative from Miriam's Kitchen and wanted to voice our support for the resolution to expand the capacity of the Aston to the 190 slots as it was originally intended. Thank you for supporting bridge housing and our unhoused neighbors. That was from I can't read the whole full name. It was Shannon C, I think.
Okay. Thank you for reading that into the record. Any further questions or comments from colleagues before I go ahead and call the vote on this topic? Okay, seeing no further comments or questions from colleagues and members of the public, I'm going to go ahead and call Commissioner Malik. Did you have a comment or a question, Commissioner Malik? Oh, okay. I'm going to go ahead and call this vote by division of the House, Robert's Rules, going in numerical order. Vice Chairperson DeCapo, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chairperson Patel is a yes on this.
Commissioner Comer is a yes.
Present.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes 4-1-0, 4 yeses, 1 abstention, 0 noes. All right, moving along.
Excuse me, I didn't hear that right. Did Commissioner Malik abstain?
Commissioner Malik did abstain, yes.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. And I'll remember to speak a little louder. I just don't want to sound like I'm yelling.
No, that's okay. My hearing aids are giving me trouble. Thanks.
Okay, moving on to the next resolution, consideration of the next resolution. This is a performance oversight hearing of the Department of Human Services. This is my resolution. Executive Director Shellis, if you could go ahead and do a share screen, and I'll go ahead and talk through the resolution very quickly. So my resolution before DHS simply calls for DHS to allocate funding for a fully functioning generator for the Aston. When the Pepco outage happened earlier this year, it was extremely distressing to hear that the residents had to be moved out of the Aston, rightfully so, so that their basic human needs could be met. But I have amplified and have testified before the council stating that a generator is something that is needed, especially for a government-owned facility and for dealing with very, very vulnerable residents. So this one is before the department. This is before the Committee on Human Services, which is chaired by Councilmember Matt Fruman. He took the concerns very seriously. He also indicated that he would, utilize and speak to Councilmember Pinto. I had confirmation from Councilwoman Pinto's team that this was a budget priority she was willing to put for. So if we go down to the therefore be it resolved clause, I'll just read that very, very quickly. And so I basically say, therefore be it resolved that ANC2A respectfully requests that the Department of Human Services and the Department of General Services allocate dedicated funding for the purchase and installation of an emergency generator at the Aston in order to ensure that medically vulnerable residents can safely shelter in place during power outages. So after my testimony before DHS, I did get a response officially from DGS stating that this is a budget priority that DHS is going to honor and that DGS will be installing this generator at the start of the fiscal year 2026. For those who are curious of why I'm still doing the resolution, it is important that we still go on record for this and that we request that Chairman Mendelson not remove this allocated funding to a different budget priority. I already did make that request to the chairman earlier today. So I am going to go ahead and move this resolution. I am looking for a second of record to start debate.
I'll second it.
Thank you. So Chairperson Patel has moved this resolution. Vice Chairperson DeCapo has is going to be the second of record. Are there questions or comments about this resolution from colleagues before I turn to members of the public? Vice Chairperson DeCapo.
Yeah, quick comment. I think it's great, especially I know as somebody mentioned earlier, as they've mentioned it in a bit of a different context, but with the extreme heat, it would be quite a shame for them to lose power and be without air conditioning, as we're looking at days with triple-digit temperatures. So, yeah, I'm a big supporter of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chairperson DeCapo. Any further questions or comments from colleagues before I turn to members of the public on this resolution? Okay, seeing none from colleagues, I'm going to go ahead and turn to members of the public. We're going to go ahead and promote you. Hi, Barbara, you're recognized.
I'm sorry, I didn't put my hand up. That's
you had your hand up. It's okay though.
It was for the last thing, but it's okay.
All right. If a member of the public has any questions or comments on this particular resolution, please raise your hand. We'll go ahead and promote you. All right. Seeing no further questions or comments from members of the public and seeing no further questions or comments from my colleagues, I'm going to go ahead and call this to a vote. We're going to go ahead and do this by division of the House by Robert's rules. We're going to go in numerical order. Vice Chairperson DeCapo, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chairperson Patel is a yes.
Commissioner Comer is a no.
No.
Oh, yes.
Okay, the resolution passes. 3 yeses, 2 noes, 0 abstentions. Moving on to the next resolution. This is a consideration of a resolution regarding the performance oversight hearing for Department of General Services. If Edie Shellis could go ahead and share her screen to show that. The DGS resolution mirrors the DHS resolution. It is literally very similar in language. If Edie Shellis could go ahead and go all the way to the bottom. As you can see, it is the same therefore be it resolved clause. I will go ahead and read it out again. Therefore be it resolved that ANC2A respectfully requests that the Department of Human Services and the Department of General Services allocate dedicated funding for the purchase and installation of an emergency generator at the Aston in order to ensure that residents can safely shelter in place during power outages. And so I'm going to go ahead and move this item. I am going to move this resolution. I will need a second of record.
I'll second it.
Chairperson Patel has moved this resolution. Vice Chairperson DeCapo is serving as second of record. Do I have any questions or comments from colleagues on this resolution? Okay, seeing no questions or comments from.
I have a comment. As somebody who's worked in the electric industry for 30 years, the likelihood of a major Pepco outage occurring again that occurred during the winter is very low. And yes, I mean, we could have outages. And we have an underground system downtown. Service to large buildings is very reliable. And I just don't think spending money on the full generator is as urgent as everybody else seems to think. So that's why I'm voting against the last motion and this motion as well. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Commissioner Comer. Any further questions or comments from colleagues before I turn to members of the public on this? Okay, seeing no further questions or comments from colleagues, if you're a member of the public and you want to comment on the resolution, please raise your hand and you'll be recognized. Okay, seeing no questions or no comments from members of the public, and seeing no further questions or comments from colleagues, I'll go ahead and call the question, and we will go to a vote. We're going to go ahead and do this by division of the House by Robert's rules, going in numerical vote order. Vice Chairperson DeCapo, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chairperson Patel is a yes.
Commissioner Comer is a no.
No.
Yes.
Okay, the resolution passes 3 yeses, 2 noes, 0 abstentions. The next resolution for consideration is regarding Initiative 82. Vice ED Shellis, if you could go ahead and share the screen. So in the mayor's budget, the mayor has called for the repeal of Initiative 82. Initiative 82 was voted on by the public, and this was to give tipped workers a raise, and it was to phase out the sub-minimum wage and to have their base wage equal to a full minimum wage. Ballot Initiative 82 was approved with a supermajority citywide 73.94%, with 67.5% of Ward 2 voting yes on this. And so there is specific language in the budget that calls for not only eliminating the next pay raise, but it is to claw it back completely and to go back to a sub-minimum wage of $6.05, which would be about a 45% pay cut. I am a tipped worker, and my base pay as of right now is $10. The council decided to pause workers' next pay raise, which was supposed to take effect in July 1st, which would have been $12. The council has stated that they want time to discuss this budget ask by the mayor. And so the resolution basically outlines documentation of stating that the Office of Attorney General has already commented on the use of service charges by restaurants, how it's becoming very confusing for them, that service charges, when not disclosed properly, can be, can actually lead to loss of wage transparency. A worker cannot know how much of the service fee is actually going to them. If we go to the bottom, to the therefore be it resolved clause, ED Shellis, if you could go ahead and go down. Thank you so much. But basically, the two things that I have requested is the first, therefore be it resolved clause is that, ANC 2A strongly opposes that the mayor's proposal to repeal Initiative 82 as outlined in the fiscal year 2026 budget. And that therefore be it further resolved clause is that ANC urges the DC Council to respect the will of the voters, support tipped workers, and to continue the wage increase as mandated by Initiative 82. So I am going to go ahead and move this resolution. I'm going to call for a second so that debate can start. Vice Chairperson DeCapo?
I will second it.
Okay, Chairperson Patel moved the resolution. Vice Chairperson DeCapo is serving as second of record. Do I have any questions or comments from colleagues about this resolution? I'm going to go Vice Chairperson DeCapo, Commissioner Malik, and then Commissioner Youngstone, because that's how I saw the order. Okay, Commissioner, Vice Chairperson DeCapo.
Yeah, as somebody who used to be a tipped worker, not in DC, but in the Deep South, where it was even worse.
213.
Yeah, 213. I am very familiar with the struggle of tipped workers, not just in DC, but across the country. And it would be great if DC could uphold the will of the voters and lead in the charge nationally to support tipped workers. This is a major step backwards for DC and for the country. And yeah, I will gladly and strongly support this and any other motions to support not only tipped workers, but all workers. So yeah, I urge that everybody vote for this and continue to vote for present and vote for similar resolutions in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chairperson DeCapo. Commissioner Malik?
The voters of the district have made their voice on this heard loudly and clearly twice. I don't know what anyone is thinking. They can believing that they can override the will of the voters in a situation like this. It sure does make people feel like democracy isn't real, right? And we're certainly dealing with that throughout the country right now. So I would encourage all of our council members, I would encourage the mayor's administration to, abide by the legal process that is there. There is an initiative process for a reason. If we can do an initiative and then just have it overturned, not once, but twice, could we have it overturned 10 times? Could we have it overturned 20 times? And if that's the case, why do we even have an initiative process? It's not real. So yeah, I'm going to support this. I think that everyone involved needs to listen to the will of the voters when they make it abundantly clear.
Thank you for your comments and support, Commissioner Malik. Commissioner Youngstone, I saw your hand was raised. I saw you took it down, but please comment.
I think the previous two commissioners pretty much said everything I had to say, but yeah, it's absolutely heinous that they're trying to undo this after two initiatives sort of voted in favor of it. It's a clear indication that the city council is deeply in the pockets of a few moneyed interests in the city.
Thank you for your comments, Commissioner Youngstone. Seeing no further questions or comments from colleagues, I'm going to go ahead and turn to members of the public if they have any questions or comments on this resolution. If you're a member of the public and you want to comment on this, please raise your hand and we will promote you. All right, seeing no questions or comments from the public, seeing no further comments and questions from colleagues, I'm going to go ahead and call the question and move to a vote. We're going to go ahead and do this by division of the House. Vice Chairperson DeCapo, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chairperson Patel is a yes.
Secretary Comer abstains.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, the resolution passes. It is 4 yeses, 1 abstention. Thank you so much. Going on to the next resolution. This one is the consideration of a resolution regarding Initiative 83. I'm going to go ahead and move this resolution. I am calling for a second of record so that we can just be efficient and go straight into debate after I explain the resolution.
I'll second it.
Okay, Chairperson Patel is the mover of record and Vice Chairperson DeCapo is the second of record. And this resolution is about Initiative 83. Initiative 83 was voted on in the general election of 2020. Was it 2024? I believe it was 2020. Yes, it was 2024. Where it posed the question about ranked choice voting to DC voters. Initiative 83 passed with a super majority in the district. And so it passed with 72.89% citywide, all 8 wards, and then Ward 2 passed it at a 75.85% percentage rate. Initiative 83 was sought to make districts' elected representatives more accountable and responsive to DC district residents. If you scroll down, ED Shellis. So I just want to go ahead and read the therefore be it resolved clauses. There's about 3 or 4 of them. The first therefore be it resolved clause states that ANC2A requests that the DC Council and Mayor respect the clear will of district voters and move to immediately provide for the implementation of Initiative 83. The second therefore be it resolved clause states that the commission advises the DC Council and Mayor to implement Initiative 83 without delay so that the electoral reforms overwhelmingly supported by district residents are in place for the district's next election in 2026 as district voters supported. The next therefore be it resolved clause is that ANC2A calls upon the DC Council and the Mayor to ensure that Initiative 83 implementation is fully funded in the district's upcoming fiscal year 2026 budget. And then the last therefore be it resolved clause, I can't read because I can't see the screen. So ED Shellis, if you could go down a little bit more. And the last therefore be it resolved clause is that ANC2A urges the district's elected officials to place respect for the will of the district voters over other political interests or self-interest and ensure that Initiative 83 is implemented as the law of the district. Several ANC commissions have already weighed in on this matter and have sent resolutions. I am an individual that deeply cares about ballot initiative processes and respecting the will of the voter. And so that concludes my presentation of this resolution. If there are any questions or comments, which I see Chairperson DeCapo has raised his hand. I don't know if there was anyone else before you, Vice Chairperson DeCapo, because I can't see my screen.
Yeah, I was first, and then Commissioner Malik is after me. My very first involvement in DC politics was almost a year ago exactly, and it was to register to vote in DC and sign the petition for Initiative 83. As ranked choice voting has been adopted for statewide races in Alaska, Hawaii, and Maine. It has been adopted in numerous localities across the country. I think most notably right now is New York, where it has made elections much more robust and responsive to the voters. And seeing as we're going to have a mayoral election and numerous city council elections next year, it is very important that we respect the will of the DC voters and create these more robust elections here in DC. I'm very strongly supportive of this and other measures that make DC's democracy more robust, especially as we see what is happening on the national level that is deeply influential to DC. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Vice Chairperson DeCapo. Commissioner Malik?
Yeah, not to be a broken record, but when the people make their voice heard, you have to listen to it. That's the nature of democracy. You don't get to ignore it just because you don't like the result or you disagree with it. To the merit of I-83, as the vice chairperson said, in DC, we often have people getting elected to statewide office with 30%, sometimes less than 30% or 40% of the vote. That means that 60% or 70% of votes are wasted in those cases. That is not democratic. The people have spoken on this. Let's get it done.
Thank you so much for your comments, Commissioner Malik. And I do want to give you a shout out. When you were the chair, you actually implemented ranked choice voting. You were the first DC government body to actually implement it. I've actually said this in a hearing. So I do want to acknowledge that you implemented ranked choice voting and it was successful. The sky didn't fall. The process worked out great. I'm sure we're going to re-implement that process, when the ASTINCAT nominees present themselves and we go through another ranked choice voting process to see who our next appointee will be. If there are further questions or comments from colleagues on this matter before I turn to members of the public on this? Okay, seeing none, if you're a member of the public and you want to comment on this resolution, please raise your hand and we will go ahead and promote you. All right. Seeing none, I am gonna go ahead and call the question to a vote. We're gonna go ahead and do this by division of the House, going in numerical order. Vice Chairperson DeCapo, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chairperson Patel is a yes.
Secretary Comer is a yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Youngstone, are you there? Okay,
Hey, sorry, technical difficulties. I'm a yes.
okay, the resolution passes 5-0-0. Moving on to the next resolution. This is the consideration of a resolution regarding sanctuary values. Thank you so much, Edie Shellis, for going ahead and bringing this up. And so, so far, many of the ANC commissions around the city are starting to weigh in on this. The reason why I'm putting up the sanctuary values amendment is that in this fiscal year budget, it calls for, there is a section of code in the budget that calls for the stripping of the basis of the sanctuary values law. And the sanctuary values law simply states that local law enforcement like MPD will not cooperate with ICE agents when it comes to detaining an individual that ICE states they should hold. So hence the reason why this has been the stance of DC for the last 5 years, very, very strongly. Mayor Bowser at one point, proclaimed like we are a proud sanctuary city. We have robust immigrant community here, and it strengthens the district's diversity and prosperity. Over 95,000 residents, which is 14.1% of the district's population are foreign born. Myself is included in that statistic. If Edie Shellis, if you could continue to move down, thank you so much. And so basically, I need you to move down some more. Thank you so much. And so basically, did a lot of research around this, around like the sanctuary city protections. One of the reasons why this has come up is there was a targeted ICE raid focused on DC neighborhoods, DC schools. It was targeting immigrant restaurant workers and delivery workers. It sent a sheer panic throughout the city. As everyone knows, I work in the restaurant industry. I had to witness a lot of my colleagues be deathly afraid of coming to work. They were not sending their children to school. That was perhaps one of the most painful things to witness, to see people who are simply just trying to survive and they just want to come to work, keep their head down and take care of their family, and to feel so much anxiety and stress that, the very people that they serve and, make lives better for are the very same people who are painting them and portraying them as criminals, it's a very painful thing to watch. And so if you go all the way down to the end of my resolution, Edie Shellis, I basically state in 3 therefore be it resolved clauses that ANC 2A strongly opposes a proposal to repeal the district's sanctuary protection. And it basically, we also, the next therefore be it resolved clause calls to strike the entire section from the budget And then the last, therefore be it resolved clause calls upon the mayor and all members of the council to publicly reaffirm that Washington DC's status as a sanctuary city and to commit to protecting all DC residents regardless of their immigration status. And so I'm going to go ahead and move the resolution. I'm calling for a second of record to start debate.
I will second it.
Okay, Chairperson Patel has moved the resolution. Vice Chairperson DeCapo is serving as second of record. Do I have any questions or comments from colleagues? Vice Chairperson DeCapo, I recognize you.
Yep, quick comment. So sanctuary policies are a great public safety policy. If an undocumented person is a victim of a crime or would like to report a crime that they have witnessed, not having these policies in place discourages them from approaching law enforcement due to fear of being detained or even deported, which of course makes our community less safe. So this is just common sense. I know we always hear that term a lot in politics, but it just is. And so I urge everyone to support this. Thank you.
I apologize. I don't know who raised their hand first, if it was Commissioner Youngstone or Commissioner Malik.
Commissioner Youngstone can go.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to say strongly support this. I think if the city is not willing to stand by its sanctuary city principles at a time when sort of all of its immigrant residents are sort of deeply under threat from the federal government, then it didn't happen in the first place. And yeah, it's a very crucial time to be supporting it.
Commissioner Malik?
Yeah. Last time I checked, Donald Trump was not the mayor or the governor of the District of Columbia. So, you know, I'm not sure why we're trying to walk back on our commitment to our immigrant residents now. It sure seems like it has something to do with the Trump administration being in office. And I expect our government to stand up to Congress and to the White House when they act like they run this city. They don't. Statehood now also.
Commissioner Comer.
Yeah, I have a question. Does Congress have the authority to overturn this provision?
So, Commissioner Comer, that's an interesting question that you've brought up. So, Congress and President Trump have been very vocal in stating that any city or state in the country that chooses to espouse sanctuary values they're being threatened with retaliation and budget cuts. And, you know, sending in like military. This is what's going on in Los Angeles. Like President Trump is saying that there is a high number of undocumented residents in the city of Los Angeles, and he sent in ICE agents, and the city of Los Angeles said no.
I hate to cut you off. I understand that, but the district has a unique relationship to the federal government, unlike other city or state. And my question is, does Congress have the authority to overturn this type of provision, uniquely just for the district as opposed to a state?
They have been entertaining it. They've been entertaining overturning a lot of local laws that have been in place. So, you know, this was
But do they have the authority to change it if they choose to?
Correct. They could pass legislation.
Okay. That's all I want to know. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry to interject, but yeah, just to clarify, I think technically Congress has the authority to completely remove the entire DC government and do whatever they want at any point.
You are sadly correct, Commissioner Youngstone. Congress can just invalidate DC as we know it right now. That's
unfortunate. We all wish we were a state.
It makes the case for statehood. You are correct,
Yeah, it
Commissioner.
does.
Seeing no further questions or comments from colleagues, I'm going to go ahead and turn to members of the public. If you're a member of the public who has any comments on this resolution, please raise your hand and we'll go ahead and promote you. Okay. Seeing no further questions or comments from members of the public and no further questions or comments from colleagues on the commission, I'm going to go ahead and call this resolution to a vote. We're going to go ahead and do this by division of the House, going in numerical order. Vice Chairperson DeCapo, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chairperson Patel is a yes.
Secretary Comer abstains.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes. 4 yeses, 1 abstention, 0 noes. Okay, and the next resolution up for consideration is a resolution regarding the Metro Lift program that is housed within WMATA. And the reason why I am putting this resolution forward, when ANC commissioners were given a closed door meeting about the Better Bus Network, MetroLift was a program that was discussed, and several ANC commissioners expressed deep concern about the district residents who are enrolled in MetroLift, which is a reduced fare program for riders that receive SNAP benefits in the tri-state region. And it allows them to ride Metro Bus for 50% off. And with congressional Republicans proposing a $230 billion cut, directly impacting SNAP and other benefits, there was a deep sense of concern from commissioners about, making sure that this local safety net that is MetroLift, that residents and riders who are already enrolled in this benefits program don't get rolled off through no fault of their own because of requirements that they can't control. And so if you go down, I basically explained that 54% of DC households rely heavily on SNAP. And, this would just be another additional hardship and humiliation that we would be putting on our residents. And so I have 2 therefore be it resolved clauses. And basically the first therefore be it resolved clause is we urge WMATA to ensure that DC residents currently enrolled in MetroLift remain eligible even if SNAP eligibility rules are affected by federal changes, which WMATA, I believe, can do. Hence the reason why I am asking for it. And then I give some recommendations to WMATA about the MetroLift program. I basically call for grandfathering existing MetroLift enrollees to stay in there regardless of what happens with SNAP eligibility or cost sharing requirements. Edie Shellis, if you could go down, I think there's one more. That's it. And then 2 more recommendations I'd put forth is to streamline enrollment by automating eligibility when individuals apply for or renew SNAP benefits. It's actually sadly an underutilized benefit because a lot of people on SNAP or Medicaid do not know about this program. And then I state that there needs to be enhanced outreach and awareness of the MetroLift program through partnerships with trusted community institutions such as schools, community centers, and houses of worship. And so I'm going to go ahead and move this resolution and call for a second of record to start debate.
I will second it.
Okay, Chairperson Patel is the mover of record and Vice Chairperson DeCapo is the second of record. Do I have any questions or comments from colleagues about this resolution?
I have a question.
Yes.
I understand that congressional Republicans are proposing to reduce SNAP benefits, but wouldn't this be more timely if we waited until after we saw what they did and could respond more specifically? Or are we constrained by the budget decisions to act now?
So it's the latter. We're constrained by the budget to make the decision now. It does actually make more sense to wait to see what congressional Republicans do. But the budget season is where a lot of these changes can be made to align with the fiscal year.
So is the budget, the WMATA budget, being produced right now on the assumption that SNAP benefits will be cut?
I'm glad. That's a really good question, Commissioner Comer. Believe it or not, WMATA's budget did not get reduced. As a matter of fact, it stayed whole. It was one of the few entities and agencies to not go through any budget cuts. The Metro Lift program, it's not a cut and dry budget cut. It's more along the lines of this is a program within an agency that serves very vulnerable residents, and that this program, would have, if nothing shifts without any ANCs weighing in with their great weight, which a lot of us have committed to doing, is that if we don't grandfather them in or advocate whatever budget level Metro Lift is currently at, that this program would end up not having they would be forced to roll off a whole, and it's not just district residents, it's also Maryland and Virginia. It serves the tri-state region. I just kept it limited to DC residents and for this particular reason.
I understand that, but what you said is that they haven't reduced the Metro Lift program.
Correct. We don't want them to. This is something that they could be facing more at the congressional level versus the local level, but the congressional and the local budget are kind of playing chicken right now. And so we are calling as ANC commissioners on the local level, General Manager Randy Clark of WMATA, advocate to protect this program, grandfather those who are in it, and just ensure whatever budget that Metro Lift has at this current moment, that it stays, it not get reduced, because obviously with congressional interference, this could be a program that could be viewed by WMATA and the district oh, well, because of congressional issues, this program is going to be reduced or even eliminated. It's not in danger of being eliminated, but we'd like to amplify the importance of this program and say, no, do the things that are needed to do to protect this great public benefit, this great benefit for our really vulnerable residents.
No, I agree it's a good benefit. I'm just trying to figure out the timeliness of it, and whether or not what you seem to have said is that the budget has not yet been reduced, and I agree we want to maintain eligibility for people, but I'm just wondering about the timing. But thank you.
Vice Chairperson DeCapo?
Yeah, so I just have a quick clarifying question. I guess it's somewhat related to Commissioner Comer. So there were about 137,000, or at least 137,000 DC residents on SNAP. That's about 20% of our population. And so, as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, if congressional GOP reduces SNAP, and that takes, just say, 10,000 people off of SNAP, those 10,000 people would no longer be eligible for Metro Lift.
That's correct.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Any further questions or comments from colleagues about this resolution before I go to the members of the public? Okay, seeing none. If you're a member of the public and you want to comment on this resolution, please raise your hand and we'll go ahead and promote you. All right. Seeing no questions or comments from members of the public on this resolution and seeing no further comments and questions from colleagues, I'm going to go ahead and move the question to a vote. We're going to go ahead and do this by division of the House. Numerical order. Vice Chairperson DeCapo, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chairperson Patel is a yes.
Secretary Comer abstains.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Resolution passes 4 yeses, 1 abstain. Going on to the next resolution that's up for consideration. This is a performance oversight hearing for the Department of Parks and Recreation. And so this resolution is just written requesting that DPR reallocate the missing funding from the 26th and I Street project. It is a long shot, but I felt it was important to be on record about this. Just considering how long the project has been delayed. And so I did testify before Councilwoman Lewis George, who has purview over departments of Parks and Rec. She had asked some thoughtful questions, or she had acknowledged that in the budget, in the performance oversight hearing, how the entire process of 26th and I Street Park has been handled by DPR has not been a good experience for this community. And I just wanted to go on record about it. And so if you go to the therefore be it resolved clauses, the body of the resolution is kind of just documented the experience that the commission and community members have had. And so Edie Shellis, if you could go down all the way to the therefore be it resolved clause. And so basically, I said, therefore be it resolved that ANC2A respectfully requests that the Department of Parks and Recreation allocate sufficient funds, assuring that the full original budget of $1 million to ensure that 26th and K Street Northwest Park is completed expeditiously and with full amenities, including a water source. And so it's just to ensure that, if possible, to get the funding that was spent through the first contractor. No one has been able to give me a response on how much of the $1 million was spent with the prior contractor that went bankrupt, which caused another delay of this project by a year. And so I'm going to go ahead and move this resolution, and I'm calling for a second of record to start debate.
I'll second it.
Okay, Chairperson Patel has moved this. Vice Chairperson DeCapo is second of record. Do I have any questions or comments about this resolution from colleagues?
Well, we have already passed one resolution on this project asking for full funding for a water project. And we don't really know if the $1 million has been spent or not. Am I correct about that? We never understood exactly what's spent. We know most of the project, it's close to being done at this point in time.
You are correct on that, because the
So what are
agency
we?
that is so as I've explained before, there are two different there's two different oversight hearings, performance and budget. So performance, I echoed this call. Budget, I'm re-echoing the call. And while, like I said, it is a long shot to ask for this money, I do think it's important that at least there be a record that ANC2A did ask for this funding. I don't know if we're going to get it, because no one has told me how much of the funding has been spent to date and how much of the funding was spent prior, was spent with the other contractor. No one wants to divulge that information, perhaps because they know it would incur some angst and ire from the community, and rightfully so. But I wanted to at least be on record that we advocated for our community to get this missing money. I do not know if this will be a budget priority that will be successful, but I'm willing to ask for it. Any further comments or questions from other colleagues? I believe Commissioner Comer is finished with his comment. Okay, seeing no further questions or comments from colleagues, I'll go ahead and turn to members of the public. If you're a member of the public and that has a question or comment on this, please raise your hand and we'll go ahead and recognize you. All right, seeing no further questions or comments from members of the public and from my colleagues, I'll go ahead and call the question and move this resolution up for a vote. Go ahead and do this by division of the House. Numerical order, Vice Chairperson DeCapo, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay. Chairperson Patel is a yes. Commissioner Comer, are you there?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
I am here. Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Comer is a yes. Commissioner Malik?
No.
Abstain.
Okay, the resolution.
I'd like to change my vote.
Okay,
I'm going to vote no.
okay, so the resolution deadlocks, 2 yeses, 2 noes, 1 abstain. All right, next item up for consideration is a resolution before the Office of Attorney General. All right, and so I presented a similar resolution a year ago. And the reason why I am re-amplifying a budget ask for 2 specific agencies, which is the Workers' Rights Division and the Consumer Protection Division, is that as the proliferation of service fees are becoming more and more prominent in the restaurant industry, with consumers who are more and more confused by how service fees work. And it also impacts tipped workers as it prevents them from seeing with clarity how the service charges are added to their pay. I have stated for the record with the council that it is sanctioned wage theft. We have talked about how service fees are reducing the income of tipped workers. It makes everybody unhappy. Consumers don't like it, and workers don't like it. And so, as the number of complaints are rising around wage theft, and consumer protection division is the one that gets complaints about service fees with restaurants and other important complaints about that impact DC residents. I wanted to make sure that the budget for OAG's 2 divisions at least maintain and stay level to the previous fiscal year, and if possible, to be expanded. When I did review the budget for OAG, OAG is kept at the same level as the year before, but with the repeal of Initiative 82 on the table, OAG has expressed concerns that their workers' rights division will be slammed with an incredibly high number of cases of wage theft from workers. And so if you go down to the whereas clause, it just basically states that go down to the whereas clause, ED Shellis, I'm sorry. I thought it was there. And so the whereas clause basically says, due to the delay of the tipped workers' next pay raise, combined with growing public concern over pervasive service fees and potential wage theft, that is expected to significantly increase the volume of complaints handled by OAG's Consumer Protection Division and Workers' Fraud section, that, well, that's the last whereas clause. That therefore be it resolved is that ANC 2A strongly urges the council to provide increased funding, if possible, to the Office of Attorney General, specifically for the expansion of the Consumer Protection Division and the Workers' Rights and Anti-Fraud Division, so that they can actually robustly advocate for DC residents. So that is the premise of why I brought this resolution, as it from a deep space of concern about workers and consumers, filing increased number of complaints due to the pervasive use of service fees and the possible repeal of Initiative 82. So I'm going to go ahead and move this resolution. I'm looking for a second of record.
I will second it.
Okay, Chairperson Patel has moved this. Vice Chairperson DeCapo is the second of record. So do I have any questions or comments? Commissioner Youngstone, I see your hand is raised.
Yeah, just to clarify, why is there an expectation that a repeal of Initiative 82 would result in a number of complaints?
So with the repeal of Initiative 82, if they are successful, the sub minimum wage would then be $6.05. But restaurant operators would still use service fees to say that it's going to workers' pay. So it make it even, you'd see a drastic reduction, not only in how workers, or like drastic reduction in take-home pay for workers, but workers wouldn't even be able to trace and see how their wages were calculated, because a lot of operators are not even transparent to consumers. They just tell you, oh, we're using it to pay our workers' wages. Well, how much? Like every restaurant has a different model, which they've been reluctant to share. They'll say, well, out of the 20% service fee that I've slammed the consumer with, 10% of it may be going to actual workers' wages, and they'll use it for operation costs, which is one of the big things that labor rights advocates have been stating for the last year, that it is making it incredibly difficult for workers to not only see how their pay is calculated, but to prove wage theft. So it's an actual, like a lot of these service fees are actually in violation of wage transparency laws. And a lot of tipped workers don't have the bandwidth to fight against their employers. They're already feeling so crushed and oppressed as it is. So a lot of tipped workers put up with the indignities, or they just simply leave. And so this has been a concern that's been on the top of the Office of Attorney General. This is something that AG Brian Schwab has, committed to still protecting workers, especially around their pay, and, holding restaurants accountable for like proper use of their service fees.
I have a question. Why do we think that he hasn't been able to get the amount of budget that he thinks is necessary to do this?
So it's a good question. As we go into a tight budget year, a lot of the budget cuts that all agencies are facing are actually in face fronting public serving aspects. Like, as I had mentioned earlier, DHS's budget is cut by 6%, and a lot of those budget cuts are in direct to the ground resources to get our medically vulnerable residents housed. If the Office of the Attorney General needs to make budget cuts, one of the first things that they will try to do is they're going to they will try to trim back in their respective divisions. Like one of the main ways that as a budget cut priority is that they don't authorize overtime to their staff. Like DHS, in the budget performance oversight hearing, a lot of members of the council were asking, why is
Excuse me,
there?
we're talking about OAG here. Are
I
they part of
understand.
the
I
DHS?
understand. I'm trying to connect the theme for you. I'm trying to say to you that when you make budget cuts in the form of staff, they have to go into overtime. Then they don't want to pay the overtime. So you're having divisions respectively in all agencies, but especially with the Office of Attorney General, if they're not able to hire an attorney or expand to, or allow their attorneys to accrue overtime to handle the caseload, it becomes a spiral of where workers and consumers are waiting much longer to get responses on their cases. Like when a work
If I may comment, I guess I'm getting frustrated by all of these resolutions, and I'm concerned that we're micromanaging a budget process in anticipation of potential problems that we're not looking at the big picture. And the micromanagement really troubles me. I think in my role representing my SMD, I think it just goes far beyond the concerns that I hear from my constituents. And I don't know what the other demands are on the Attorney General or anything else to support something like this. It troubles me tremendously as we move into this micromanagement of the budget. It's my comment. Thank you.
Okay. Acknowledge, Commissioner Comer, and respectful pushback. This isn't micromanagement of the budget. This is what DC residents and ANC commissions and commissioners do. We weigh in and we advise. So while many of you on this commission have not been reading the budget or following the issues as closely as I have, this is an agency that directly impacts myself and the communities that I work with. And I just focus specifically on consumer protection and workers' rights, but they also handle a lot of the complaints around housing, around utilities. The Office of Attorney General is the one advocate that the DC residents have. So if I can sit here and say with my ability as a commissioner, hey, this is where I'd like you to prioritize some funding, I want to at least be on record to say that. Now, if the DC councils, if Councilwoman Pinto, who has oversight of this specific agency, does not want to reallocate or give more funding, that's up to them. But at least I want to be on record for asking for it. There's a lot of us asking for a lot of things in this budget cycle. And a lot of us have been reading and paying attention to these things. And while your constituency isn't impacted by a lot of these things, there are other constituencies in ANC2A that are deeply impacted by it.
I hear you, but I still think it's a degree of micromanagement that just goes beyond a role that I personally feel comfortable with, and I can't support it.
That's fine. Commissioner Malik?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think the sentiment behind this resolution comes from the right place. I think I would agree with the content of the resolution, but I sort of agree with Commissioner Comer's statement about this being outside what I see as the scope of the ANC's responsibilities, although I also do agree with you, Chairperson, that any commissioner can bring forward any priority that they would like and ask for that to be given the weight of the commission in a matter such as this. So I think you're perfectly, within your rights to do that. For me, the issue is when something is this complex. Look, we just got this resolution on Friday. I have no idea about the details of what you're proposing here. I think even if I had spent 5 days leading up to this meeting diligently researching this, I would still not feel that I knew enough about this topic to advise the council on it. So when there are things that are in our wheelhouse that we deal directly or that deal directly with, the day-to-day of our constituents, parks in our neighborhoods, that kind of thing, it's pretty easy for us, at least for me, to look at a resolution on Friday, analyze it, evaluate it, and make a decision about how I should vote on that. With something like this, I don't even know how I would begin the process of making an informed decision about this. And I respect that you may be more invested in an issue like this than I am or than Commissioner Comer is. You follow matters like this very deeply, but it's important that what we pass as a commission reflects the views of the commission, not just the views of the resolution's author. So in a situation like this, like I said at the start of my comments, I think I agree with this, but I needed more time. And this isn't time sensitive. So this could have been drafted and circulated to us, at any point leading up to this budget process. And I don't say that to disparage you, but I just want to put that on the record for the comment as to why I'm opposing this one and probably the next resolution too. I just think these super technical topics, if we're gonna address these things, we need to have more time to deal with them.
Okay, colleagues. This practice of this commission has been to send the resolutions to everyone by Sunday at 7 p.m. Okay, we are an advisory body. Number one. So I'm simply advising. I got all of these resolutions to everyone by Friday afternoon. Okay. I'm the one that wrote all of these. I'm the one that's been staying up till 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning to do this, to make sure that you have enough time. Okay. And also, like, for a lot of us, like this, you want to talk about like hyper local. Well, the Office of Attorney General just took one of the restaurants located here in ANC 2A, got a 6-figure settlement for wage theft. So there are things that are happening in this ANC commission that the Office of Attorney General does handle. And, I could have made it very, very simple, but at the same time, like, I'm focusing on specific things that I know I can trace back to ANC 2A. Same thing with the Office of Tenant Advocate. Like, housing and, how workers are treated in not just citywide, but specifically ANC 2A should matter to all of us. Same thing with the residents who live in ANC 2A. There are residents who are getting crushed with high rent, getting, high utilities. All of these things fall under these two critical agencies. So, I mean, I understand that for a lot of y'all would like more time. I handed it to all of y'all well ahead of schedule. I simply don't know what to do for y'all. I mean, I have to put it as a budget resolution.
Please, I think it's, we've talked about this a lot. It's not a question of time. In my respect, I just think it's a question of micromanagement. And I'm not interested in micromanaging the budget process. I sympathize with what you want to do in a lot of these resolutions, but every time you ask for more money in one place, it's got to come out of somewhere else. And that to me is beyond my knowledge, expertise, or ability to advise the council. You may feel differently. You follow this stuff a lot closer, but I feel we're spending a lot of time. We only have 5 people even following this at this point in time. Nobody, our constituents aren't interested in it. And, we have a meeting at 10:30 at night. We should have been done an hour ago. And I know you have your interest. Let's just vote on it and be done with it. Okay? Because we just have different opinions about it.
Well, Commissioner
And
Comer, we're an
you
hour
can vote
late.
forever,
Okay,
but
Commissioner
it's not
Comer, we're an
gonna.
hour late because
Yes,
you as the commission wanted to vote to add something else. Fine. Then what it is like when it's a topic that y'all want to talk about, you want to spend as much time on it as possible. We could have been out earlier, but y'all want to have
this
the
is off
debate.
topic. This is off
Well, no,
topic.
I
Let's
mean,
talk about the topic.
no, and I did,
Can we
but
vote?
I've told you
That be recognized.
in a moment, Commissioner Malik.
Okay.
Because Commissioner Comer wants to be going back and forth about it. I have had a record for the past 4 years presenting resolutions around budget performance and performance oversight. And you're now in your 3rd year, Commissioner Comer. It is our duty and it is our obligation to look at the budget as elected officials. So you may think I'm micromanaging or that's your opinion. That's fine. But I'm the one that has been producing the work on this commission.
And we're
So
voting on it.
you don't have to agree. You don't have to agree with it, but that doesn't also give you the right to criticize me either.
I'm not criticizing them. I'm just saying let's vote on it. I express my opinion. You have your opinion, and let's not waste people's time. Commissioner Malik wants to say something. Let's just move on.
Commissioner Malik, you're recognized.
Thanks. I'll try not to take too much time. I do just want to clarify my point, though. We've had a number of resolutions here, and everyone knows that I think the deadline should be 7 days. We've talked about that a lot. We don't currently actually have a deadline other than our bylaw says we're supposed to try to do it on 7 days. Regardless, that's not the point. I haven't criticized the Friday turning in of any of those previous resolutions. I'm pointing out the timeline on this one and the next one in specific because I do think the complexity of the resolution matters in terms of when we're given a chance to review it. I'm not supporting this resolution because I don't feel that I really understand what's in it and haven't had enough time to work through the complexity of it. If I was given this resolution earlier, I might be able to get to a yes on it. And I want the public to know, why I'm voting no on something that I think is probably a good idea. And I want my colleagues to understand that even if there isn't a deadline, if you bring something super technical, it's not necessarily just going to get a rubber stamp, at least not for me. I have to understand what I'm voting for. I have to be able to go back to my constituents and explain why I voted for it or why I didn't. And in this case, I don't feel confident in that, so I'm not going to support it. But that is not a general criticism of when the resolutions were turned in this instance.
Thank you for your comments, Commissioner Malik. All right. Any further questions or comments from colleagues before I turn to members of the public on this? Okay, seeing none. If you're a member of the public and you want to comment on this resolution, please raise your hand. Okay, seeing none. Seeing no further questions or comments on this, I'm going to go ahead and call the question on this. We're going to go ahead and go by division of the House in numerical order. Commissioner DeCapo, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chairperson Patel is a yes.
Secretary Comer is a no.
No.
Yes.
The resolution passes, 3 yeses, 2 nos. Moving on to the last resolution. This is a consideration of a resolution regarding the DC's Council's performance oversight for the Office of Tenant Advocate. All right, and the reason why I have decided to focus on the Office of Tenant Advocate, inside of the budget, there is different bill, which I did not have time to weigh in on, and that one was deeply technical and deeply in length. And so I decided not to weigh in on that, but it is called the Rental Act. And in the Rental Act, it calls for changes to the eviction process, topo rights, just all sorts of things where, long story short about the Rental Act, it reduces the rights that tenants have in being able to protect themselves in cases of evictions, landlord rights, all of that. With the mayor's proposed decrease of funding ERAP, she's reduced it to $5 million, whereas various budget coalitions around the city have called for $100 million to keep ERAP in. So what we're going to see as a direct result of this budget cycle, cuts to programs which are housed within DHS, is that we're going to see a massive influx of people being evicted out of their homes. The Office of the Tenant Advocate is the one dedicated agency that tenants can contact to get legal advice, resources, emergency placement, or funding if there's a case made from them. And Office of Tenant Advocate is an agency that is going to be inundated, similar with OAG, in getting calls from tenants saying, like, I'm in the process of being evicted. What do I need to do to protect myself? And so in the performance oversight hearing, I called for OTA to, get more funding. It is simply the re-amplification of it here in this. And then I talk about the ERAP program, how ERAP has been decimated. There's loss of funding there. Continue to scroll down, ED Shellis. And then, so I'll read my 2 therefore be it resolved clauses. ANC 2A urges the DC Council to prioritize additional and sustained funding for the Office of Tenant Advocate, an agency dedicated to protecting tenants' rights and keeping the district residents safe and housed. The last therefore be it resolved clause is that ANC 2A calls the DC Council not only to increase OTA's funding, but also to expand the capacity and resources in response to the growing need for tenant advocacy and emergency rental assistance. So I have reviewed OTA's budget, which is one of the reasons why I was late getting it to you. OTA was another agency that was kept at the previous fiscal year's budget. They didn't take any cuts, but OTA has been vocal in many of the housing hearings, saying that they are going to be seeing an increased need just due to the projected increase in evictions and the fact that ERAP funding is not going to be enough. And so I am going to go ahead and move this resolution, and I'm going to call for a second of record to start debate.
I'll second it.
Chairperson Patel has moved the resolution for the record. Vice Chairperson DeCapo is serving as second of record. I can talk, I promise. Are there questions or comments from colleagues? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and turn to members of the public on this. If you have a question or comment about the final resolution on this section, I am more than happy to let you speak your piece. Okay, seeing no questions or comments from members of the public, seeing no further questions or comments from colleagues on the commission, I'm going to go ahead and call this to question and go to a vote. Go ahead and do this by division of the House. Numerical order, Vice Chairperson DeCapo, how do you vote?
Yes.
Vice Chairperson DeCapo is a yes. Chairperson Patel is a yes.
Secretary Comer is a no.
Present.
Yes.
The resolution passes 3 yeses, 1 no, 1 abstention. Thank you so much, gentlemen. We are in the home stretch. The last section is renewals before Alcohol, Beverage, and Cannabis Administration. And Commissioner Malik, I'm going to go ahead and let you run this section because all the restaurants up for renewal are in your SMDs. So
I'm the lucky winner of tonight's renewals. I'd like to move that we consider these application renewals as a batch, items A, B, and C together.
Seconded.
okay, so Commissioner Malik has moved, is the mover of record on this, and Vice Chairperson DeCapo is the second of record. Are there any questions or concerns about any of these licenses?
So I have no concerns about any of these licenses. We have, I don't actually know how to pronounce this. I believe it's Maman. That's how I think you say it. That's how I say it when I want to be fancy. Put a little panache in it. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse and Char Bar, all valuable businesses in the community. We're happy to have all three of them. I haven't received any complaints about any of them. I recommend we take no action on these renewals.
Chairperson Patel has no issue with that, unless other colleagues feel differently. All right, since ANC2A is going to be on record as taking no action, I am going to go ahead and move to the next item. Seeing that there's no further business that the ANC is conducting, I am going to go ahead and motion that we adjourn. The time is 10:40. The next meeting is Wednesday, July 16th at 7 p.m. virtually. Have a good night.
Bye, y'all. Thank you.
Bye.